Hello, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran, and I'm here with Purple Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is now episode 293. In this episode, we're going to talk about James Harden and Dame requesting a trade. If the Lakers were the biggest free agent winners, free agent deals that will age well, rank rebuilds, and more. Getting closer and closer to episode 300. Man, oh man. And for those of you that were in the stream shortly before, technical difficulties, but we restarted and now we're back better than ever. And a quick announcement, we will be releasing merchandise soon. Hats, shirts, and shorts. The whole set you can get, or just one a piece if you want to. But yeah, how you guys doing?
Is my audio working? Testing. Guys, let me know. Testing 1 2 2 2 2 3 5 5 7.
It's working.
Yeah. Dude, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great.
Dude, I'm happy to
Been here all day.
We have. We've been cooking for you guys.
You're fucking welcome.
Been cooking.
You're fucking welcome. We've been here all day cooking up some content for you guys.
9 p.m. We're not getting out till midnight.
Oh, yeah. We'll
Patreon episode we did. We're recording a full-length podcast. If you guys are wondering, we are live right now. And just to let you guys know, if you do join our Patreon, we will be having a dedicated segment for you guys at the end of every show where we answer your questions. So if you want to join our Patreon, get an extra episode a week, get your questions answered at the end of the show, you can do so with the link in the description down below.
And we will be in Vegas on July 6th.
Just say Thursday.
Thursday, July 6th. So if anyone's out in Vegas, we'll be at Summer League. Hit us up. Let's link up.
You got to watch Brandon Miller have a bounce back game. He's fouled out in his first Summer League game in the first half.
Yeah, nasty.
I got to check out them fouls. Look.
Yeah. 6 fouls is crazy in the first half.
Wait, you're not supposed to get fouled out in Summer League. I thought you get unlimited.
I didn't know. I don't know.
That might be just for the team.
Unlimited fouls?
I think
that's pretty hilarious.
I think in Summer League you get like the team gets unlimited fouls. Like they don't. I don't know.
Because they did say you usually say got fouled out, but they said 6 fouls in the first half.
I'm not going to say anything on Brandon. All I'm going to say is should have been scooped. That's all I'm going to say.
They get 10 personal fouls.
What the fuck?
Each player?
Yeah.
Yo, that's
I knew
hilarious.
it. Yeah, I knew it was like a hefty amount.
So Loki, he could just be hacking because I'm like, I got 10 fouls to play with.
No, it's not that. I promise you, it's not that.
What if it is?
It definitely isn't.
There goes a great defender agendas.
Yeah, I've watched too much Summer League. No, it's not that.
It's just one Summer League game, though. There's been a ton of players that have played bad and have been great, and have played great and have been bad in the NBA.
Draymond was doing turnarounds in Summer League.
I just saw his highlights.
They were nuts.
Kevin Knox was a Summer League superstar. He was a legend.
Are we going to talk about Max Christie, 17, 6 and 4 tonight? 6 of 11 from the field?
Well, if we do that, we had to talk about Brandon Miller playing like shit. So.
That's what we did. So that's why I'm just highlighting Max Christie because the breakout's happening. And I told you.
Did Jalen play?
You're ready. Jalen Hood, he did play.
How did he do?
My main agenda was Max Christie today.
He played okay. Well, I didn't watch it.
Played well.
From the numbers, he seemed like he played really well. I don't know.
We lost by double digits.
I don't know where he's going to get this minutes from for you to have.
I do worry. I do worry. We got guards.
Yeah,
however, we lost Lonnie. There's Max Christie's spot. And Cam Reddish, I'm happy he's on his quad because we got you along. But now, say that one more time.
Better than Max.
TBD.
Oh, one guy has more game log. Good defender.
For sure. 42% from 3 last season. Limited attempts, only 63 shots.
Cam. URB.
All right, let me know.
So many things have happened in the NBA this past week. Free agency, we have star players requesting trades. Dame finally requested a trade. James Harden requested a trade out of Philly after opting in to his player option.
Not that good. I'm not going to say it.
Probably not. 32?
You were close. 31. He averaged 11 points, though. And that's what matters.
Career high.
No. It's 11.9 in Atlanta. This was 11.0.
Cam Reddish is not a good player.
I'd say.
The hope's alive. The dream's alive.
Hey, you know what, though?
Feel handy is what I was told.
Exactly.
Or he can fix magic. So,
fix Rui.
He did. Yeah. See?
Fix Rui.
LeBron's going to get Cam
Now Austin Reeves is a GOAT.
Mm-hmm. LeBron's going to
Maybe he's cooking. Maybe Cam Reddish can be a serviceable NBA player.
Thomas Bryant came over.
God, he can.
Think about it, bro. Think about how good Thomas Bryant thought that he was. That he was like, yo, I need more minutes. I need the ball. Yeah. Averaging how many minutes in the playoffs?
Doesn't matter.
0.
7? Max?
I don't think it cares.
Thomas Bryant has a ring?
Yeah, bro. He went with the Nuggets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He went to Miami.
He should get burned there.
He should. They need a big man desperately.
Actually, his best year was in Washington, not even with you guys.
Rui?
No.
Thomas Bryant.
That was the year before he tore his ACLs. Bro, he was good.
Thomas Bryant's an okay player. He's good. We'll see the type of impact he makes on Miami. I want to talk about these superstar trades first. And
That's
talk
your
about
Mets.
Dame first, because he is the domino that everybody's been waiting to fall the entire season and in the offseason, if he is going to request a trade or not. Now, the question is, do you think Dame is going to regret requesting a trade out of Portland?
So I tweeted this out earlier today. The only way Damian Lillard can regret requesting a trade is if the next location that he goes to, which is most likely Miami at this point in time, if he does not win a championship. And I say that because there's been almost no pressure and no real expectation on Damian Lillard in his time in Portland. Maybe the only time that there was some expectation was when they were facing the Golden State Warriors without Kevin Durant. And then their expectation was, hey, you should win a game or two.
He lost to
win
Clay.
0. Absolutely.
Steph didn't play. He was hurt for some games.
I was going
Not
to
the
say,
conference
I
finals.
got
Yeah,
you.
no, the first
No,
one.
I'm talking the conference finals.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, in past.
No, understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable. So, yes, there hasn't been any real expectation on Damian Lillard. Now that he is requesting a trade, and he's now potentially going to the team that just went to the NBA Finals, did fall short against the Denver Nuggets. Now there's expectation. Now there's going to be some pressure. And he will regret it if, one, does not perform well, the team loses. Two, you just don't win it all. That's just an L on your resume. It does not matter how well you play. Look at LeBron James. He is 4-6 in the NBA Finals, and a lot of people like to highlight the fact that he does not have a winning record. It does not matter if you win. But in this case, he's chasing number one. And now you're going from a situation where you had almost no chance to win. Now you're in Miami, and you're supposed to be becoming the best team in the Eastern Conference that we had conversations about on the last show that we just had. So now your expectation is championship or bust. And if you don't do so, then you will regret it.
Hefty expectations for Dame if he goes to Miami. This will probably be the most expectations we've ever seen from Dame if he heads to Miami. I think he'll always regret it. And I think he'll always regret it because he'll always say, I wish I would have got this one with Portland. I wish I would have won with Portland. Bro. This is always when I wanted to get with Portland. I always wanted to bring a championship to Portland. I said a few episodes, this is the first. I forgot about the Bill Walton chip, but he always wanted to bring that, that championship in this era to Portland. So I think he'll always have that regret in his mind, no matter where he goes, no matter where he wins, like this should have been me in Portland. But inevitably, he just wants to get that one ring, like you mentioned. And when you get that one, you get that first feeling of winning the chip. We obviously don't know how that feel, but we can see how the players feel. They feel so like it's just such a great feeling.
Bro,
it's so emotional.
Remember that feeling when the Warriors won?
No, I'm saying we don't know like being there. You know what I'm saying? But
saying,
yeah, like they just get that emotional feeling. It's such a great historical moment. It takes forever. Like it takes a lot to win a championship. So I think Dame will always regret it because he wants to win it with Portland. But I think inevitably he'll be able to get over it. Just getting that one is just getting over that hump because he's one of those guys in this generation that's underrated. You have the guys from every era that's like underrated in their respective areas. They was one of the top dogs, but they don't have the proper accolades. They don't have the proper final success. Like Charles Barkley in his era, type shit. So I think Dame is in that era where he's kind of like underrated in a sense, but inevitably I think he'll be fine either way.
I don't think he's going to regret it, but it's also a simple answer depending on what the conclusion of how things end off are. If he wins a championship, he's not going to regret it. If he doesn't win a championship, he's going to regret it. How he's going about this trade request, though, he has been questioning people at why they are mad at him for it, and I think the answer is simple. Chris Haynes reported that he wanted out of Portland. Sam Amick reports that it's Miami or bust. The problem is not the trade request. I'm not mad at Dame about the trade request, and I was waiting for that to happen because I think he should compete for a championship. It's how he went about it. He's remaining adamant that he only wants to play for the Heat, the team that just made the NBA Finals. And that goes against everything Dame has stood for in his entire career. Back in 2019, in an interview with Taylor Rooks, he says, I don't feel like I need to prove to anybody how bad I want to win it because it shows in my work. It shows in my approach to the game. I'm not going to go and try to team up with top players in the league because I know that'll make the chances better because that's not who I am. In 2021, with $1 million worth of game, he goes, I would never do that when it comes to teaming up with stars. He said, I don't control if the team decides to trade me somewhere. I can't control that, but it ain't for me. Well, right now, he doesn't have control of where the team's deciding to trade him, but he only wants to go to one team, and that's the team that just made the NBA Finals.
Contradiction.
And regardless of how I feel about the Heat's playoff run, the facts are that this team made the conference finals to the finals 3 of the last 4 years. And if Dame goes to Miami, it becomes the best big three in basketball and you are joining stars.
Interesting that you say
best
that.
over the Suns.
Beal, Booker, KD.
Beal, Booker, KD from a talent perspective are a better
Facts.
big three. But from a fit perspective, Miami is a better big three because they're missing that lead guard that can score at the rate Dame can score at.
Can I also ask you another question before you continue? You're being pretty critical on Damian Lillard for deciding to flip aside, would you say?
I'm being critical on Dame for only saying he wants to play for the Heat.
Yeah.
If he
Because he doesn't want to play for the Nets.
It's not even that. There's so many teams that have called the Blazers about a Dame trade. If Dame is open to just getting traded to a team that has a chance to win, it's all fine. But you're remaining adamant. You only want one team and one team only, and that's going against everything he's said, not just in the last couple of years, but in the past couple of months.
And it makes it very hard for the Blazers to have any sort of leverage when they're doing a trade with Miami. If all of these other teams who are calling, there's been a bunch. I think listed 5-6 teams: Timberwolves, Celtics, Clippers, Sixers, a ton of teams. The Blazers have no leverage. If he's just saying, I'm just going to Miami, and all of these other teams, he straight up says, I will not play for you, that's going to be hurting his franchise. Now, I don't completely agree with you guys are saying, because I think if Dame wins a championship, obviously he doesn't regret it. But I think the only way he regrets it is if it's an objective failure, if it's a Nets big three type of failure, because he's been with this Blazers organization for 11 years. He's given them chance after chance after chance to build a contender. If you've been with a girl for 11 years and she keeps doing the same shit, whether she's cheating on you, not giving you communication, not trying her best, at some point you just got to cut the cord and say, you know what, it's not going to work.
5 years ago, guys.
Exactly. So it's not all Dame and not all Portland's fault, right? When you go back to these years, you had, the tail end of the Spurs dynasty they lost to. You had the Warriors dynasty going on. They lost to the Lakers in the bubble when they go on to win a championship. So it's not just the Blazers' fault that they weren't able to build up this talent, because the competition in the West was unbelievable. And truth be told, the Blazers just never had the talent or even put out the kind of aggressiveness needed, whether it was trading CJ McCollum, to kind of match that talent. So for Damian Lillard, I think the minimum is just going to a team and he makes the finals or is competitive in the ECF, which is probably going to go to the East. I think that's enough for him. Because if he stays with Portland, he's going to look at this and saying, I'm going to be wasting my years. We've talked on previous episodes. We love the future of the Blazers. But realistically, I mean, this team at a minimum is 3 years away from even competing. And that's even being optimistic, because we don't know still how, Shane Sharp and Scoot and all of these guys are going to mesh together and what their real ceiling is in the NBA. So unless he is a complete failure in Miami, they don't make the ECF, it gets blown up in a year, I think this is going to be the right move for Dame. And Dame's probably still going to see it like that, because his other option of staying in Portland is not going to get him a championship.
It's easy from a bird's eye view to criticize other stars for teaming up with other stars. And now when push comes to shove and you're put in that position, let's see where your morals stand. He criticized Paul George not too long ago when Paul George got traded from OKC to the Clippers. The Clippers, before Paul George got there, was not in the conference finals. They had never made it before. And he called out Paul George for running from the grind when they never even did nothing. And it was just him and Kawhi, the 2 stars. He's about to join 2 stars in Miami. And it just feels like everything he's called out other stars in the NBA for doing, he's doing exactly that. Like I said, if he has the Heat on one of his preferred teams, that's fine. It's that the stance is Heat or bust. That's the issue.
The package is terrible from the Heat. I mean, they don't even want Tyler Hero. They want a third team to get involved to take Hero. And there's been rumors around saying the Nets would be that third team. And the Nets want draft picks to take on Hero's contract.
I don't think it's you didn't want Tyler Hero. It's just redundant for them. I think they have a lot of guards. Yeah, they have a lot of guards. There's no space for him over there. I do think if Dame wants to win outside of the Heat, maybe the Nets. Like, what's another team realistically that would help
Boston him? Cold, they would win.
Boston, but that would be same thing as Miami.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying?
It'd be hard for the Clippers to acquire him for sure.
And then the Pelicans just staying in the West and still a talented West. I think, as much as we want to criticize the move, there's not many places that are calling that realistically give him the opportunity to win. And that's what he wants. He wants to be competitive. He wants to win.
Philadelphia, not crazy, only for the fact of James Harden can be included in the deal.
Horrible.
Has to be a 3-team
trade. Maxey, they've made it very clear.
And did you see Tobias Harris? They have no business of trading him either. I don't know what Philly's doing over there, bro.
I'm not going to speak on that, but they've made it very clear that Maxey is untouchable. So, and that's the one guy that would probably get you, because once again, Harden doesn't make sense.
That's redundant too, though, with Maxey.
Yeah, so it's like they would need another third team. It's just none of these things make sense. The only team that makes sense is Miami or Brooklyn, and Miami gives you the best chance to win.
The Timberwolves are sneaky.
They have to give up. You give him McDaniels.
I don't think he stays in the West.
You have to give him McDaniels.
Oh man,
They give up Cat.
I'm crying. Yeah.
That's the one right there.
Yeah, I want McDaniels.
I don't think
They
he'll-
traded all their picks to the Jazz.
I don't think he
Yeah.
stays in the West at all.
Yeah, Portland probably doesn't want that either.
No,
They want draft picks.
But even in the East, I mean, look, Dame just a week ago said that he doesn't want to go stack the deck. If he goes to Miami, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, I think.
Is
They
it
are.
by far? Are they a tier above? Because I don't know if that's
I don't think it's
stacking
by
the
far.
deck.
That's not by
because
far.
stacking the deck is KD to the Warriors.
I legitimately think that if he goes to the Nets, yes, the Nets are underdogs in some of those series, but they do have a chance. I think they do have a chance.
Dark horse for an ECF run. I don't know if it goes beyond
Yeah,
that.
but I think the way
Don't
their
expect-
roster is constructed, if Dame is that missing piece, they have a chance. And based on his stances in the past, that's the kind of team that he's been open to being on.
Yeah.
I'll say this. The reason why I look at Miami as being the best team in the East if Dame were to come to town is because of Eric Spoelstra, in my opinion. I still look at the Boston Celtics from a talent perspective. They're probably still the most talented team in the Eastern Conference. It just so happens to be that Eric Spoelstra is one of the most.
Yeah, I don't
brilliant
know if
minds.
he's going to the Heat or stacking the
That's what I'm
decks,
saying,
man.
bro.
I
I'm
don't
really not
know,
looking
like,
at it like that.
from a team perspective.
It's
They're
like
not that. They're good, but they're not that good.
And they
As a-
also lost a lot of good. Their role players
As a big three, where would they rank? So you have Bam, Jimmy, Dame. You have Giannis, Drew, Middleton. Depending if you want to put Brook Lopez as one of them, just because of how great he was this past season. You have Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, or MPJ. One of those two. You can choose between either of them.
because of
See,
Giannis having a gap over the three players in Miami, you might take Bucks, but the next two guys, Jimmy and Bam, clear Middleton and
Comfortably.
Drew
I'm
like
with you.
comfortably.
I'm with you for sure.
So
And then you have, then you have KD, Booker, and
Bradley Beal.
Beal.
once
Yeah,
again,
and
Kevin
Tatum,
Durant has a
Porzingis,
gap.
Jaylen
Where
Brown.
do they rank? I'm
They
wondering.
would be top 3.
They're number one. They are number one.
From a fit perspective, I agree.
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kristaps Porzingis.
That's
Oh no,
there
no,
too.
Miami clears.
Miami is better.
Clear.
From a
Bam
fit-
is a
from a
better
fit
player than
perspective.
KP.
No,
fit
from a talent perspective, they clear.
Dame
Yeah,
is
but talent with the Suns, no.
who's better, Bam or KP?
Bam clears.
Who's better,
KP.
Jimmy Butler or
Jimmy
Jaylen
Butler
Brown?
clears
Who's
Jaylen
better,
Brown.
Dame or Jason Tatum?
That's close. I would probably
Jason
go Tatum.
Tatum.
It's very
That's close,
close,
though.
though.
Jason Tatum. Jason
It's
Tatum.
close.
I don't know
So
how close it is.
Jimmy
They're
or
just-
Tatum?
What Tatum's
Jason Tatum.
Dame's like the 11th best player in the world. Tatum's like
Yeah.
9, 10. It's close. Hey,
You taking Tatum over Jimmy? You taking Tatum over Jimmy?
I would. Yeah, Tatum. Listen, I get it. Tatum just lost. And yes, he was hurt in that game 7. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see his full
them
effort.
two are like butting heads. They're annoying. Those two are like.
But Jason Tatum, where you could question it last year, maybe this year, to me, it was obvious Jason Tatum was a better player in that series.
The only close big three I think is the Suns, and that's because they have talent.
What
to
about
match it.
Jokic, MPJ, and or Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray?
Bam clears MPJ.
and Jimmy Butler
very
better
Jokic-
than
But
Jamal.
Jokic is a clear.
But
all-
very
That's the thing. They,
Yeah.
If we're
It's a Giannis
ranking,
thing.
if we're
Bucks,
ranking those
Denver,
6
Bucks,
players,
Denver, and Phoenix have the clear number one guy.
I'm just gonna say this, and I get it in terms of talent. Fine, Jamal Murray as the number 2, 26 points per game in the postseason.
We don't know what Jimmy
An
looks like.
unbelievable
as a number 2.
efficiency.
We don't know
I
what
just
Jimmy
think
looks
the
like as a
3 is
number
a
2.
huge gap.
As probably wasn't the number 2 in Minnesota. No way.
this is
Was
how
he
I'm
the
thinking
number-
about
Was he the
it.
number 2 in Philly?
But he wasn't utilized correctly.
But he was the number 2, and he
He
wasn't.
was
that good.
amazing in the playoffs in Philly, though. He was.
That series against the Raptors, he was amazing.
He was the only person going toe to toe with Kawhi
He
Leonard.
just
and
wasn't
scoring.
utilized correctly.
Okay,
That's
because that
really all
was it Brown, right? That was the head coach,
Yeah, Brett Brown.
Brett Brown.
He
But I'm
hated
looking
Brett
at those two teams. Okay, Jokic is the best player. Next comes Dame. Then it's Jimmy. Then it's Murray. Then it's Bam. Then it's I think Aaron Gordon's more of the big three than MPJ.
I
and
understand.
then it's Aaron Gordon at 6. I think the
Brown.
Heat.
Either guy. Bam
the-
is better than
The
either guy.
advantage is just Bam and Dame or Bam and Jimmy being your 2 and 3. That's really the
No,
advantage.
but it's also that we've seen how they can coexist in terms of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. That's why I feel more comfortable.
A Jimmy and Bam duo have dominated the East past
They have.
3 out of the last 4 years.
Dominated.
Maybe not dominated, but
Been to
they've been
2
at the top of
finals.
the East the last 3-4
I
years. Then you add a Dame
I'm not
like
trying to
that.
disrespect Miami. Of course, they're amazing.
It's tough.
But again, they'd be number 1. KD,
Talent-
Booker,
talent-wise,
we haven't
and
seen them
Beal.
play.
I don't think talent wise, no.
In terms of talent and fit, Miami would
But
probably be number
fit,
1.
yeah,
All right,
exactly.
listen, in terms of talent, KD, Booker, Beal, I think I would take that over the Bam, Jimmy, and Dame. In
Agree.
terms of just what we've seen on the court, it's got to be Denver.
That's fair.
Okay,
They just ran through the West,
fair.
and they ran through the whole playoffs.
that's fair. I can get with that.
All right.
But I do think Heat's top 3 for sure. Probably 2.
I get it.
If you talk
I get
talent
it.
and fit,
The Boston, I can hear you. I understand where you guys are coming from because that's pretty fair. I just look at Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, both all NBA players. Kristaps Porzingis just put his best season forward. But I understand it's Dame, it's Jimmy.
It's
and
not
Bam
even Dame
defensively
because
is
like
amazing.
Dame and Tatum could be. It's Jimmy clears Jaylen Brown and
KP
Bam
is not
clears
gonna
KP.
KP's not going to have that similar season in Boston next year.
No, he's not going to get the opportunity.
But would I be surprised if he is still an impactful player on defense? If he's still an impactful player offensively,
But
I
he
would
won't be
not be at
Bam.
all.
But it's easier to put up
Defensively,
garbage
absolutely
numbers
not. But he'll probably be better offensively than Bam, and I feel pretty
As a scorer,
more than
yes.
confident to say that. Yeah.
It's easier to put up garbage time numbers in Washington versus going to a legit contender and having to be impactful every single night.
To be fair, Kuz was doing that with not good efficiency. KP was doing that with really good efficiency, while on top of it being a really good defender, while on top of it being the most available that he's been in God knows how
KP
long.
was good last year.
KP was great last year. There's no doubt about it. But I think that there are serious concerns about the fit in Boston with 2 primary wings who are not plus.
I just think that because he can
playmakers.
stretch, I think that because KP can stretch, it makes it a little bit easier because my idea is you're going to have Rob Will on that court as well. He's going to be a little bit more versatile. You're just going to plop KP in the paint, have him hover, be that rim protector. Of course, he showed that he could defend the pick and roll very well. But I think why it fits is because KP can stretch the floor and you can use him in pick and roll situations. The concern is the lack of playmaking. I'm with you. I get you
Tatum's
there.
a plus playmaker.
But Tatum, exactly.
He's not
that Tatum
He's a plus
KP,
playmaker.
that Tatum KP duo is going to be very nice.
No, that's Tatum isn't the problem. You know what the problem is.
Let him work on it. Believe me.
He's working. He's in the lab. Or actually, no, he's been doing fashion in Europe.
Oh, that's what's up there. That's cool.
He's a handsome individual.
Exactly.
I just think the reasoning for KP fitting in Boston is not because he could stretch, because the Celtics have run 5 out lineups before and they still look stagnant offensively. The issue is that it's just players going one-on-one, and KP is another player who's just going to want to go one-on-one and complain when he doesn't get enough touch.
He could help be a zone beater a lot.
He's definitely
because
he would have been a big help against Miami.
That's why.
With his size, he's able to shoot over.
He
He's able to shoot over the zone. Yeah.
But it's going to be an offense where JB, JT, and KP are all trying.
Well, hopefully
to
they
take
switch
turns
that.
going
Hopefully that was the
get
problem.
A point guard.
Yeah,
that'll be the biggest, I think requirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think best talent wise, it's the Suns. Fit wise, it's Miami. Boston's in that conversation, but the fit is weird because you don't have a natural point guard there, and we saw the limitations this past postseason. And the Nuggets just won the finals, so they have to be in that conversation.
That's why I say
but
fit's got to be there.
You can respect Denver. Yeah. Denver is more of a duo than a big 3, though.
Agreed.
That's a fact.
Agreed.
You just have to throw that.
But
in there
Aaron Gordon did just get tasked with being their primary defender, and he was excellent.
He's awesome. I wouldn't classify that as a big 3, though. He's just a
great. Bam gets a primarily praised mostly because of how unbelievable his defense is.
He's an all-star.
He is.
He's also an elite big man playmaker.
I can live with that. People are going to be upset.
Moments as a scorer.
Yeah, but people are going to get upset. Oh, we like to speak in hyperbole. Not Bam really is an underappreciated playmaker. Yeah. He really is.
That's why I had that big.
No, I got you.
I had to get that in there. Woo! All right, yeah, we're good. No, yeah, Bam is amazing.
No, he's
do
really
you
good.
think that Vincent and Shoes were gigantic losses, though?
If they don't get Dame, yes.
Correct.
If they get Dame, he offsets both what they can provide.
And I trust the Heat to be able to bring in guys, whether it's, veteran minimums. They signed Josh Richardson on a minimum. Jaime just had a great summer league. Yeah, so I have faith that Spo and Pat Riley can fill those roles.
I was going to say, who are their guards? Kyle Lowry and who?
They want to waive Kyle Lowry.
Tyler Hero, as of right now, to be fair, fine. But that's it?
Yeah.
But I think
because you were saying it before we started the show. If Miami does not get Dame, they are losers this free agency.
They lost a lot.
I'm going to hold my horses on saying that because last year they lost the offseason and they made the finals. I understand it was an improbable run, but last year they were offseason losers. So I ain't just going to count them out.
But they were offseason moves because they didn't make a move. This year they would miss out on a move and miss players.
They lost PJ Tucker though.
Yo, bro.
He was huge for them.
I get it, but okay. Let me not disrespect.
They were playing Cody Zeller.
Hey, Kevin Love gave good minutes.
He did.
Almost
He
came
came back. He's back.
I
He's
know.
back,
I know.
yeah.
I'm saying in terms of you
Strus
lost
and Gabe
PJ, you
was-
got Kevin.
On some nights, not Strus, but Gabe was on some
He-
nights
a
their
lot.
best player.
Max Strus, I think Duncan Robinson can comfortably replace his impact.
He hasn't played regular season ball.
What
in
was the
some
statement
He
one
time.
more
just showed
time?
in the playoffs. he
Duncan
can. He
Robinson can
should.
replace what Max Strus gave them.
You would hope so. You would hope he gets back to that.
In the playoffs, he showed that he can get back to that.
Duncan was very good in the
Facts.
playoffs.
That's
Sure.
why I think the Max Strus thing offsets Gabe Vincent. It's a tough loss, but as long as they have Kyle Lowry being the backup point guard, I think they'll be fine. Their guard spot will be fine.
They're also weird because these older players that weren't that good in the regular season, and they come playoff time, they just
The
There's
lump,
some
the,
here.
the jump they took was
Yeah, like,
ridiculous.
I'm ready, and it's just like, all right, buddy, but can they do that again this year without Dame? I don't know.
And they got Josh Richardson. He's a sneaky pickup too.
Oh, they'll get him right.
He's a sneaky pickup. And
Anybody
he's
they
telling you,
bring in
really,
there, they'll get it.
The
right.
reason I have so much expectation on Miami, of course, outside of the talent, is that nobody does better than Eric Spoelstra right now.
They signed Thomas Bryant too. I think we
That's
mentioned
fact.
that. But Thomas Bryant
It's a
is
fact.
big pickup because
Because I
Cody
was-
Zeller was getting way too much.
I was gonna say
Way
we
too much.
were
But
talking.
they still need a star, man. Like you
Yeah.
can't continue to count on this.
But
every
bro,
year.
come on, bro. Why do they need another star? They got the duo. You're talking about Bam.
As great as Bam is, and as great as Bam can be, I still think you need another two. I don't think he can be
They need
a
scoring.
consistent number two.
I'm trolling. They do need scoring to be very
Defensively, he's always going to be that, but offensively, he's just too inconsistent.
They're not winning a championship like they are currently.
No, I agree.
They need Dame.
It was a
They're
miracle.
praying for Dame.
And I say this with praise because, of course, it was an amazing postseason run. It was a miracle that they made it to the finals. It really was.
Was it? They did it
No,
again.
it was. It was.
A miracle.
Back-to-back
Sound like
ECFs.
Joel.
Stop disrespecting the Heat,
I
man.
know, for real.
Miracle
As an 8
You're a Heat
seed,
hater.
as an 8 seed to make it to the finals, it takes a little
I
bit
mean,
of luck
after-
and
I
it
feel like-
takes some
I
obvious
feel like
talent
after they beat
and
the
skill.
Bucks, you should have thought they could do it.
They got
like
because the shooting was okay.
It's just all right. Giannis got hurt. Little bit of luck put into
they
it
won
as
more
well.
games with Giannis not playing.
Got it, but also at the same time, he was injured. Did leave 3 quarters through the first game. Missed game 2, they won. Missed game 3, they lost.
He
Game
missed
4 and 5.
13 free throws.
it was
But
ugly.
he went 40 and 20.
What
Yeah,
what
that
percent
fourth
chance
quarter
do you
was
put
abysmal.
on Dame not landing in Miami? Because he obviously seems like he wants to go there. He has 4 years left on his deal. So
the history of superstar players landing where they want to land is
it's extremely
very
high.
good. I think he's landing in
Not
Miami,
everybody can have a Steph,
unfortunately.
man. Not everybody can have a Steph. Loyal.
So
Stay to the core.
95%, 99%.
I
think
think
he
he
lands in
GM,
Miami.
arguably of our generation.
As
right?
long
Gotta
as
have the
he
best
has
player
the
to have the
stance,
best
as long
GM.
You're
as
talking about Jerry West.
if your man's committed to the stance that he's not going anywhere but Miami, then he will land in Miami 100%.
KG didn't want to go to Boston. It happens.
KG?
Yeah,
You sure?
Anomaly. But
That's
yeah, he's
interesting.
right.
it is.
He's
It
actually
definitely
right.
is the anomaly.
Because
but
Kevin McHale traded him there.
No, he at first he did not want to go to Boston.
Yeah.
He's correct.
That is
Shaq wanted to
interesting.
go to the Lakers, but it took some time. That happens.
AD want to come to Lakers.
No, AD said it's
However-
Lakers. Like,
However, Kawhi going to the Raptors was
that was random.
ridiculous.
But
It was.
he was on a 1 year
Kawhi
deal.
didn't
so
want to
it's
go. He was
different.
also the one. He
Yeah.
said, "Listen, this is
You're
the,
trading for me. It's a gamble, but
Yeah.
hey, we can get to
I'm gonna
work.
get that shit.
You're gonna get to work.
Yeah.
Get to work." And then he left.
It's just different situations because Kawhi and the Spurs relationship was sour. I look at a situation like Harden requesting out of Houston and wanting to go to the Nets and
Yeah,
Philly.
you're right.
The thing to do is to do right by your superstar.
For sure.
That's the thing.
Especially if they've done so much for your organization. You have you got to put the respect. Dame is one of the 3 greatest Blazers of all time.
Yeah.
but they needed to make sense for them though. They can't just get bullshit.
can't get
in the
nothing.
deal.
Oh, yeah, they
And
gotta-
then there's that report saying that free agents and players around the league are looking at Portland, how they're going to be treating Dame. But
They don't need that.
Portland doesn't get free agents, so it's not like they're going to be out there, competing for the big free agent
A lot of
2025.
Brandon Roy drafted, Odin drafted, I
Dame,
think Clyde drafted,
CJ.
Dame drafted, CJ drafted. Everything's drafted.
Yeah.
It's funny when it
LA
comes to
drafted.
Heat fans when you bring up that they made the finals and stuff. They're like, "Oh, but you guys disrespected our run, this and that." Okay, now I'm finally putting respect on y'all.
Oh, no,
and you don't want it.
If me saying it's a miracle,
First of all,
I guess that
miracle is
does
pretty
come
crazy,
that does
not
come
gonna lie.
across rude, but again, what they did was miraculous. That's
what's
the
the
word.
thing?
Miraculous and miracle.
Disrespectful.
You know what's the thing? though?
How? Miraculous and miracle. Yes, I guess they're synonyms, but miraculous more so sounds like the praise that I mean it to be. It was miraculous.
Heat fans understand it was exactly what you described. Heat fans understand that it was one of the most unlikely runs we will see in NBA history. That's why they're begging and they're pleading for Dame because they know that if they
You're
don't
doing it
get
again.
him, it's over.
You're doing it again.
It's facts. It's
They
facts.
went to the finals, got destroyed in the first
and they're
round.
begging for
Went
Dame.
back to the ECF. No, don't worry. It's more years coming. Went back to
Just
the
kind
ECF.
of like the Warriors were
then went to
begging
the
for
finals.
KD.
have you ever watched the Draymond interview? That's actually not how it went.
No.
They actually were planning to get him the year before they won. You didn't know that. I know you did.
What do you mean the year before 2014?
No, 2015 summer. They were planning already to get Kevin Durant. They knew he was going to be free.
They were.
Everyone
knows what the contract
LeBron
is.
wanted him too. You just couldn't get him.
Obviously.
In Boston.
Yeah.
But you know why he didn't come to team up with LeBron?
I don't know.
Because there was a bigger beast to tame. That's why he wanted to go team up with Golden State, the team that just blew it 3-1 lead.
Guy just didn't
Boston,
have money. That's really what it was.
I don't know what you're saying.
No, LeBron and KD was never going to team up with LeBron.
You didn't have cap.
You didn't have
space.
cap, bro.
Again, LeBron was never going to team. KD was never going to team up with LeBron because he wanted to be number one.
Well, I'm not a KD guy.
Listen, in the low spaces, he went and said that flat out.
Okay.
There was a time and place when he wanted to be the best in the game. He wanted to be acknowledged as the best in the game. I'm just saying.
No, I don't care.
You couldn't do that playing with LeBron James. You had to do that playing against him. Okay.
2 rings.
Another player that is requesting a trade, but in a bit of a different situation, is James Harden.
There we go.
Now, James Harden, unsuccessful Nets tenure. You can attribute it to injury. Sixers tenure, to be determined. We'll see if he gets traded. But if he does
What
get
can you attribute
traded,
the Sixers tenure?
if it's a failure.
Oh, I thought you were going to say injuries.
Oh, no,
Oh, okay.
nothing. You know, James Harden needs to humble himself. He does. This is his third trade request in the last 4 years. And this most recent one, asking out of Philadelphia, is puzzling. I'm trying to gauge why he's asking out of Philadelphia. The reason is because last offseason, he took a $15 million pay cut in hopes that this offseason he'd capitalize on that gesture and favor he did for the Sixers, and they'd repay him by giving him a big payday. But Daryl Morey is hesitant to give him that money. And the truth is that James Harden brought this on himself. The Sixers wouldn't be hesitant to pay him if, with the chance to close out Boston up 3-2, he did an average 11 points, 5 turnovers, shot 26% from the field, and went 1 for 11 from 3 in the last 2 games. Last year, the Sixers were tied with Miami 2-2. James Harden's coming off a 30-point game where he backpacked. And the next 2 games, he scores 14 in game 6 and 11 in game 7. Looking at this reoccurring pattern, isn't it telling that the GM that knows Harden the best doesn't want to give him a big-time deal? The team that knows Harden the best, the Houston Rockets, openly came out and said, we're not pursuing James Harden. Instead, they gave big-time money to Fred VanVleet instead of a hometown legend in James Harden. The Rockets don't even want him. And that's where he lost all his leverage in negotiations with the Sixers. And that's why the Sixers, they're not competing against anybody to sign James Harden at the price point that he wants. I think it's time for James Harden to look at himself in the mirror and ask himself if he's actually the problem. Because 3 trade requests in 4 years, no matter how you slice it, is a bad look. I'm James Harden's biggest fan. I will defend him. He just had a tremendous season. He did bounce back in the regular season. In the playoffs, he had great games, but it wasn't matched with consistency. The Sixers have the reigning MVP in Joel Embiid. They fired Doc Rivers in part because I think Doc was going to get fired anyway, but because James Harden didn't like Doc Rivers anyway. They brought a new head coach, Nick Nurse, who universally from a lot of people, they think it's a major upgrade. Nick Nurse is finally going to bring some adjustments to Philadelphia and have them playing a different style of basketball. That should excite James Harden. And for him to opt into his player option and request a trade shortly after because he's upset that the Sixers don't want to pay him big time money, I think is foolish because no team wants to pay him big time money. And any team he goes to doesn't want to pay him big time money. So wanting out just because of that, I think is very selfish. And not to mention all of last year, there was hints at him reuniting with the Rockets. And that probably made teammates feel like he wasn't all the way bought in. So Harden has to look at himself and commit to one team and say, let's get the job done. He should feel like he owes the city of Philadelphia better performances in the playoffs. And the fact that he feels like he hasn't let nobody down is alarming.
Yeah, you guys want to hear James Harden's playoff numbers last 2 years? Let's do it.
Goes.
Sure. So James Harden averaged 20 points a game. This is just in totality.
Last 2 years.
Yeah, this is this season in totality. 11 games, 20 points per game, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 87% from the free throw line. On 2-point percentages, he shot 40%, threes, 37%, overall 39% from the field. Last year, 12 games, 40% from the field, 36% from the 3-point line, 43% from the 2-point line, 89% from the free throw line, and then he averaged 19 and 9. You're right. He does need to look himself in the mirror and realize that he is definitely one of the problems. He also hasn't been playing very well in these last 2 seasons. I mean, Philly has pretty much underachieved this year, especially. I feel like they've underachieved. They had an opportunity to take out Boston in the second round, head to Joel Embiid's first ECF in his NBA career, and they was up 3-2, and Jason Tatum went crazy in the fourth quarter, and then Jason Tatum had the 50 ball, and Embiid was a part of that problem, but James Harden was also a part of that problem. So you have to look in the mirror. I think Philly not extending Harden's a good move for Philly. I do believe you should not go in long-term into James Harden because he's not the same player you are. But I also think Philly should just blow it all up. I think Embiid's time in Philly is done. I do truly believe that. I think by next summer, Joel Embiid will be on another team. I also think James Harden's a guy who doesn't really – he's just not a person that's going to move the needle for Philly anymore. He's not that same player he was. And that's why he wants to go to the Clippers, because that move – to the Clippers will pretty much put them at the top of the West with the Lakers, at the top of the West with Denver, with the Suns. They will put them in serious contention if he goes to the Clippers, because you got him, you got PG, you got Kawhi if they are healthy. And I think that's why I think that's why he realizes himself. That's why he has the Clippers up there, because he thinks this is one of his many chances to go out there and honestly get a ring, because in Philly, he's not going to do it. But I think, Joel, you made some good points. You know, he has to look in the mirror. If you're former franchise doesn't want you, if your GM, who Maury has known him pretty much his whole career, doesn't want you, it kind of comes to the fact that you're just not that same player you was. You did have a bounce back in the regular season, but in the playoffs, you had your stinkers, you had your great moments, but overall, you just wasn't that good. And that's been James Harden for the past couple of years.
Is there a way that James Harden can change his reputation with you guys? At this point in time, the way I see it,
there's one way.
There's a way.
There's one singular way. But the way that it's starting to transpire is that James Harden is seemingly going to either be the second or the third option on the team. If he stays with Philadelphia, he's a number 2 option. If he goes to the Clippers, barring injury, we're looking at him as the number 3 option. He will be facilitating the offense. That would be his role. But really, why were we praising James Harden as much as we were when he was on the Rockets? Because he was by far and away their best player, one of the best players in the league, one of the best scorers that this league's ever seen, but wasn't able to get the job done in terms of winning an NBA championship. Came a game short from going to the NBA Finals in 2018. Yes, I understand that that was the best team ever assembled in terms of Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. For sure, we can give him an excuse for it. However, he was extremely poor in that Game 7. But again, the only way you change your perception on James Harden is if he is amazing on his way to winning an NBA Finals. But even still, if you're not the number 1 option, it's not that same praise. You still get acknowledgement for sure, but not the same way that people were trying to prop James Harden as potentially being the 3rd best shooting guard of all time. I feel like at this point in time, those conversations are completely axed. It'll be almost near impossible for James Harden to enter that top 3 over Dwayne Wade, unless he does have an extremely impressive finals run. He needs the NBA championship. But at this point in time, I'm starting to question if that's ever going to happen. And I think that his best opportunity, yes, would be with the Clippers to win that NBA championship, barring injury. If they're healthy, the Clippers are extremely scary. But I'd look at it like, if I'm Philadelphia, am I going to give up 2 years in? Is this what I'm going to do? Am I going to give up on the process? Because if I'm giving up on James Harden, Joel Embiid's going to be next in line to get traded. So I look at it like this. James Harden, yes, the team may not want to commit to James Harden long term, but what's your other option? Start the process all over again? Yes. Trade Joel Embiid. That's it. It's done.
What do you get for Harden?
So then that's it. That's exactly my question too. If we're trading James Harden,
you get a lot for
Embiid. What's the best? Embiid's going to give you a bag. Oof. But what's the best that I can get for James Harden? Unless the Blazers are willing to make a trade with me and another team gets involved and I could potentially get Damian Lillard. That'd be amazing. But is that likely? I'm just trying to go through every single scenario here. I get it. I'm with you guys. James Harden at this point in time has been very underwhelming, especially his time with the Philadelphia 76ers. But if I'm the 76ers, I have to see this through because the process is very quickly becoming a failure.
But he's not the only one that's been underwhelming.
Agreed.
It's been your MVP that's also been
exactly
underwhelming. And you have to realize
we can't just blame this on Harden.
This team, every single year, whether it be injuries, underachievement, somebody not dunking on somebody when he needs to, coaching. There is always something that stops this team from going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Bounce.
And at some point, you have to look at it and be like, no, this shit is over. This process is a failed process. It's not going to get to where it needs to get. It's reached its peak. And that's okay. Sometimes you can cope with that. Sometimes you can understand it. And that's the same thing the Raptors are having a problem with now. Understanding that this team is not going to reach this peak that it needs to, and you have to blow it up. And with the Philadelphia Sixers, you have to understand that. Yes, James Harden can still be a good player somewhere else. Embiid can bring you a lot in a trade package. But this team, as constructed, if you do decide to bring Harden back, it's not going to do anything but underachieving. It's always going to be something.
But they were one game away from the ECF. One game.
And what happened?
I get it. They blew.
They were one game away against Atlanta,
and they had an unbelievable. Oh, I'm with you. Listen, bro. This is on Harden. This is on Embiid. This is on Doc. It's mostly on the players.
A silver platter for them to win.
Jason Tatum was cheeks.
Here's the thing.
Quarters 1 through 3. Quarter 4, he got hot.
I don't think that the Sixers are quitting on James Harden. I think James Harden's quitting on the Sixers.
He
requested a trade.
Little both.
That's not the Sixers giving
little
up.
Both.
And honestly, I think once Ben Simmons, once that kind of sailed, that felt like the end of the process. I don't think this is the end of the process.
Joel Embiid just won MVP. I feel like Joel Embiid is the process.
Round, yeah,
agreed.
Ben Simmons was a big part of that too,
for
though.
Sure. Absolutely right.
And you make a good point, Drew, because the fact that Harden has not won a championship in his prime is probably going to stop him from getting that conversation of top 3 shooting guard ever. But he still has a chance to, rectify in a sense kind of how he's viewed, because he could go, whether that's the Clippers or another team. He just has to be a facilitator. And we know he could be one of the best facilitators in the league, right? We know just led the league in assists. We were having arguments. He's an all NBA player, and he was only averaging 21 points a game. So if he's able to change it, and his usage rate has gone down dramatically from his last year in Houston to Brooklyn to Philadelphia. I mean, he was down to 25%, 27% this past year. And that was his lowest since OKC, where he was around 25%. So that kind of shift in role has already started since you have Embiid there. And he hasn't been, as ball dominant as he was in Houston, of course, over 40% some years. But what James Harden has to do is, like you guys have said, look at yourself in the mirror, because when he has these stinkers like he did against Boston, where we give him the 240 balls 100%, he won them, especially game 1 without Embiid, won them that game, no doubt about it. But then when you follow that up, going 2 for 14 in game 2, 3 for 14 in game 3, he took 8 shots in game 5, and in elimination games, game 6 and 7, he was 7 for 27, but 16 assists to 10 turnovers. I think that's his biggest issue, is that when James Harden gets in these ruts and his shot isn't falling, it affects the other aspects of his game. We know defensively, he's never been that guy. We're not expecting him to. But when your shot isn't falling and now you're turning the ball over and you're not getting your teammates involved, that's just going to make things worse from you. So if James Harden is able to, when his shot isn't falling, be able to lift up in other places, then we could have a different scenario, because we give passes at times for a guy like Jason Tatum, who struggles at times or inconsistency, but the defense is always there. The playmaking's there. The rebounding is there. We're like, you know what? Shot wasn't falling, but everything else was stepping up. For James Harden, though, that's not the case. If the shot's not falling, his entire game comes down. And if James Harden isn't playing up to his caliber, at least regular season-wise, this is the Sixers team going to be. They're going to be a second-round exit. They're going to be a failure for a team that is expecting to go to the finals, a team that has an MVP on their roster, a team that they think has the talent to be able to get over the hump. But when their second player, their second star, isn't producing at a consistent level in the playoffs, they're going to come up short.
Since when is a player that's averaged 20 and 10 not capable of being the second best player on a championship team? James Harden has the ability.
Definitely.
He is capable. But he just doesn't show up to the moment. That's what it is. When he was the first option in Houston, you can rattle off those moments against Golden State. Yes, I understand he was going up against a great team, and I give him passes for that. But I look at more specifically in 2017 versus the Spurs, or if it was 2016 to 2017, game 6, no Kawhi, no Tony Parker, you lose that game. That's what those moments I look at that. Even when Harden is the best player, he still shows up short. And also, Houston, he had Dwight Howard as a teammate. Years into Howard's tenure in Houston, he wasn't the same. But when they lost to the Blazers in the first round, when Dame gamed them in that series, Dwight was the best player in that series. It wasn't James Harden. James Harden was supposed to be great in that series. He wasn't that great. Dwight Howard, he didn't get along with. He wanted the offense to himself. Chris Paul, who went to the finals with Phoenix and was a big reason why they went to the finals, they don't get along. They still don't get along. They're not cool.
That series against oh, you said that's when he got games. Excuse me. Which one? I'm thinking about the Clippers series where he was bad in Game 6, but then was very good in Game 7.
It was 2014.
Yep.
Yeah, 2014 where they lost to the Blazers in the first round.
Yep.
Chris Paul is one of the best leaders and winners this game has ever seen. James Harden does not get along with him. James Harden does not like him. After 2019, when they lost to the Warriors, James Harden openly blamed him for the loss subtly by saying, I know what we need to change. Very next move that happened, Chris Paul got traded, and they brought in Russ, and nothing changed.
Yeah.
He goes to Brooklyn. Kevin Durant's supposed to be one of his best friends. He leaves there too. And now Philadelphia, I'm seeing pictures of Joel Embiid and Harden at parties. They're chilling together. They're supposed to be buddy-buddy. And Harden, just because the Sixers are unwilling to max him, I just seen Kyrie take a 3-year team-friendly deal to stay in Dallas. James Harden is not willing to do that. He wants max money. After the performance he just gave out, I feel like if I'm Harden, you should feel some sense of embarrassment for how he went out this past playoffs and feel like he has to prove himself to earn what he's talking about. Because those playoffs did not prove himself. And he openly said he wants freedom in an offense. Well, if he goes to the Clippers, you're not going to have much freedom. You will be the primary facilitator, but you will have to succeed to Paul George and Kawhi.
Yeah.
And that's not freedom.
He had 2 games versus the Celtic that he was the primary reason that his team won. However, you can look at it on the opposite side, and that there were games that he did not play well, and that was the result of them also losing. So it's tough because I look at Joel Embiid, and he is not completely to not blame either. Did not shoot 50%, not once in the series versus Celtics. This is the pass that he gets. He was injured, and I understand that. Of course, he was unbelievable this season. I would have loved to see Joel Embiid 100% healthy, but he's not completely out to blame either. Game 7, he was not good, not by any means. So, yes, I get it. Primarily, we look at James Harden because he's supposed to be better. He was inefficient turning the ball over too, but it's supposed to be a duo. Joel Embiid and James Harden are supposed to be one of the best duos in the game. And if neither are holding up their end of the bargain, and they still were able to win 3 games and push it to a Game 7, be in a position where you could have closed out in Game 6 in Philadelphia. Clearly, the team's good enough. It's just a matter of execution, and that's what they failed to do so far.
Embiid deserves a lot of blame, and I think that he's the primary reason. But James Harden having those 2 games in the Boston series where he backpacked and led them to victories showed me he's capable of that.
No doubt.
But the bottom line is that when they need those games in a Game 6 or Game 7, they are not there. And that's when they need those games. I was watching James Harden pass up wide open drive lanes to the basket and kicking it out instead of trying to lay it up. They need those games in the elimination ones, not in the middle ones. Those middle ones are important, but they need him to show up big when it matters, regardless of Joel Embiid's health. Harden was the best player in that series for Philly, and he should have been better in Game 7. It was in Game 6. It was an embarrassment.
It's not a good thing to say.
If Harden is better in Game 6 slightly, Philadelphia wins because Boston up to the 4th quarter was not doing nothing. Jason Tatum had his bizarre scoring stretch, but if James Harden through the first 3 quarters is better, is hitting shots, is more consistent, is really just coming out for blood and wanting to eliminate the Celtics, the Sixers win. But the urgency just wasn't there. And that's
Game
been
6
a story
loss is on Harden
his entire career.
That Game 6 loss is on Harden, but that Game 7 loss was on the team. They completely came out flat. They lost their chance in Game 6. You had a feeling that once it went back to Boston, it was over. But for them to go out as sorry as they did, both Joel Embiid and James Harden, I mean, that's just, if you're a Sixers fan, that's absolutely the last thing you wanted to see.
Brandon Miller had 12 points in the 4th quarter, by the way.
Oh, Brandon Miller?
Let him cook.
Allegations.
Nice. Oh, let's go B. Miller. But ultimately, the conclusion I come to is that Daryl Morey doesn't want you for what you want, and the Rockets went and fucking paid Fred VanVleet.
Yeah. But to be fair, every player and every agent were using the Rockets as leverage. Everyone was saying the Rockets want X, Y, and Z because they were the team with $60 million in cap room.
But the Rockets came out and said, Harden, nah.
That's a fact.
Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, come. We can have you.
Yeah, we'll get on that in a bit.
Yeah. But for James Harden, they're like, no, you know what? We're good. We don't want you.
But they shouldn't.
I don't disagree with you. But if they were going to pay Fred VanVleet,
Harden?
At least think about pay Harden.
No, you pay Harden. If you're paying, you pay Harden.
Or maybe the reports of James Harden going to Houston were fucking fugaz.
It wasn't that, though. It was that the Rockets came out and said they're not pursuing Harden.
Tough look.
Really, Embiid's out by next summer. Maybe earlier.
Probably.
And for those saying that nobody was going to pay Kyrie money, no team's paying James Harden either.
Nope.
All the teams with cap space, the Kings, the Jazz, the Spurs,
Let me ask
the Rockets.
They weren't pursuing Harden. Why? Is that more so on Harden? Or do we just ultimately believe that just it wasn't a real thing?
Yeah, it's a mix of both. You have the young talent coming up and you want to, develop them, but you also don't want Harden.
I don't think Harden
and
was taking no 2-year plus
antics.
third on the third being a player option.
I definitely
it's 4-5 or
think
bust.
Yeah, I think he was.
And plus, it's not a good look, like Joel said in his opening monologue, that these reports and rumors were coming out during the regular season of him moving to Houston. Now, if you sign Houston, how do you know if, halfway through the year, you guys are struggling, you're 15 and 30, and he's saying Harden's, regretting his decision to go to Houston. He wants to be traded. You have to think of that too.
I also think that the Harden and his camp definitely wanted to negotiate with Houston, because if they negotiated with Houston, it now puts pressure on Daryl Morey to do exactly what you're saying. We have to keep Harden at whatever cost. Right now, no team really wants Harden. So because of that, Daryl Morey, he doesn't have to force a hand. He doesn't have to make a decision right now. He can wait it out and basically tell Harden, these are your options, bro. Your best one staying with us.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to with these options.
What's James Harden's contract that he's looking at right now?
His player option is 30,
it was 36.
36 or 38 mil.
No, he opted in.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm saying if he was opting out of it, right?
He wants 40.
What did he want? So,
He's
No,
wild.
I think he wants 50 mil.
That's
Oh
what
my
I'm.
God.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
But
now
he just opted in. No,
You can get 50?
but you can get an extension. I don't. That's what I'm wondering.
He can get 50 mil.
But 50 is like the super max.
I don't think he's
the
Supermax.
super max is like 60, 70 mil now. Like
Not
Jalen
just-
Brown's gonna get like
you're
paid
saying
7.
you're saying average.
Yeah,
not year
average
one.
senior, yeah.
Jalen's
average
getting
salary.
Jalen Brown's gonna get what, 50?
But that's because
He's
he's
gonna
going to
get
get the team. No,
$295
it's going to
over
be a
5.
stupid number.
Yeah, so
He hasn't signed it.
But that's what I'm wondering.
Have
It's
you
just
even
like
offered it?
Who knows?
if Houston had the opportunity of James Harden opting out and then ultimately going to the Rockets, I'm sorry. There is no way in hell the Rockets chose Fred over Harden. I just can't believe that, especially if the price tags were going to be similar. There's no way. So
Fred's
either
more of a
one, the
leader.
reports were garbage, or Harden is just. The only thing I can think is that the reports are not true.
I think the Rockets chose Fred VanVleet because Harden
Over
I
Harden.
think Ime chose Fred VanVleet over Harden.
That's good
because
point.
I think Harden is gonna probably complain if he doesn't get if he gets a lack of touches, if he's not the primary decision maker. And they need to develop their talent. I think Fred VanVleet
helps.
is okay with just standing in the corner
He's
and
a better
shooting
leader
threes.
too. Much better leader.
James
than
Harden's
Harden.
going to take the ball out of everybody's hands and basically make their development lesser, where Fred VanVleet's just going to play a
Plays
role.
yeah.
Play a role.
How the mighty have fallen. How the fucking mighty have fallen.
So where do you want to see him next year?
James
Are you
Harden.
just off? I mean, you've been bashing him rightfully so. You're just off the Harden train?
I mean, listen, I'm never off the Harden
Okay.
trade, but I got to give him criticism where it's due.
Of course.
The Clippers is the ideal spot to win a championship.
Definitely.
That's because I think there's more of a chance with the Sixers, and I think at this point,
None
at this point, Harden has proven that he cannot be the guy that takes over in games that matter.
He'll be the number 3.
So number 2, I think he's better than at his best. He's better than Paul George.
He won't be at his best.
At
Quite
his
literally
best,
ever.
it's been some time.
At his best, this Harden's best is not better than Paul George.
We're not seeing Houston Harden.
Cut it out. Listen, don't come here and start disrespecting our guys.
Listen, hey, if he's Brooklyn Harden year 1, he has a chance to be better than PG. However,
James Harden can definitely be the second most important player for the Clippers because of his
that's not
facilitating.
wrong. That's not wrong.
Yes,
Because that's
y'all need
that's the
that.
Well, let
biggest
me
thing
ask
they've been
a question.
missing. They
Let me
need a
ask a
real
question.
facilitator.
Is James Harden now really
Wait a
going to
minute.
go to the Clippers once Russell Westbrook just resigned?
I don't see why not.
Because his
Russ was coming off
facilitating.
the bench.
That would be a weird fit.
James Harden can score 8 points and have like 14 assists. He'll still be the 3rd most important player in the team.
Russ was starting in the playoffs.
Yeah, because who was injured in the playoffs?
Well,
for them?
all of them.
No, it was just the wings. He was the starting point
Harden
guard.
and Russ on the same team feels like a weird fit.
Well, they wouldn't start
We've
at the
seen it
same
before.
time.
No, but at some point they're going to be playing on the court together.
Well, I'm mostly saying that Harden needs to play behind somebody he can defer to, and that's Kawhi Leonard. It's
It's
not
both
Paul.
of them.
No, it's
It's both.
Kawhi.
Well, he has-
it's not
he has
Paul George.
Embiid
right now.
Paul
Both of
George
them.
has a resume of underperforming too. So we ain't finna act
Whoa.
like
As
Whoa,
of
he's the
recently,
guy.
as recently,
Paul George is
Paul
being
George
the
has-
allegations.
Yeah,
Wait a minute,
has,
no.
yeah.
Well, we're
Nah,
not.
he
As
missed
of
the free-
recently, he
nah,
didn't
missed the
play.
free throws against
Stop,
bro. I'm
stop,
sorry.
Just stop. Just
Gotta
stop talking for a
acknowledge
second.
that.
Stop talking for a second. Because this is bullshit. What we're not gonna do is act like Paul George is not a better player than James Harden right now. Because he comfortably is. Number two.
I think he's a better player, but Paul
Listen,
George is not the guy Harden's deferring to. It's Kawhi Leonard. I'm sorry,
literally
bro.
is. James Harden's gonna go there and beat a number 3.
Kawhi's the one.
You gonna die on that assist? Them 12 assists. You're dying on them 12
He's
assists.
not understanding what I'm saying.
Option, though.
No, I'm
That's
saying
why
in the
Paul George
playoffs.
number
I
2.
said in the playoffs, James Harden needs to play with another guy who can take over games. Paul George has never been that guy that takes over games consistently. We talking about Kawhi Leonard. That's the guy.
Never.
Yeah,
never.
but
he's never been that.
Never.
No
He's
matter
had it one run.
No matter what you say, Ty Lue, the way he's gonna set it up is Paul George is going to be the number 2. He's been the number 2. He's shown when Kawhi went out, he can be the number 1 and go take them to the WCF. So let's not act like he hasn't done that as of lately.
And the last
what
5
Harden
playoffs
has done as of lately is what we're not going to forget is that game 6, that boy was stinky, and that game 7, that boy was stinky as a number 2. We just seen him as a number 2. He was dog shit. So he needs to drop down to a number 3, respect Paul George, and don't do that. Don't hold on to them weak ass assists.
In
the playoffs, he was middy.
In the last 5 playoff series, how many out of 5 was Paul George dog shit in? In the last 5 playoff runs. Last 5 playoff runs. Tell me. He's had one fucking playoff run you're hanging on to.
Hey, let's do it. He was damn good against the Suns. He was damn good against the Jazz.
Playoff runs.
Oh my god.
He wasn't good in the bubble. He was good against the Blazers.
Was he good in OKC?
Which one?
Both years.
Yes, the second one he was good against the Blazers.
He got gamed.
So what?
He got gamed. He got gamed. Wait, that's a bad shot. He got gamed.
Damian Lillard game Harden too. Why is he talking?
Back in 2015, James Harden is the best player on the team. Went to 2 conference finals. Paul George did not do that in the West.
3 finals. He went to 2 ECFs, 1 WCF. James Harden just played like dog shit and lost to Boston. Why are you talking?
I'm talking because Paul George is not the guy Harden is going to defer to. It's Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is that alpha guy on the Clippers.
He's deferring to both.
He's deferring to both because as a number 2, James Harden was just a number 2 in Philly. He was ass, bro. He was ass.
He was ass for 2 games. Yeah.
No, he was great for 2. He was great for 2. He was ass for like 4 to 5 games, bro. Like, what do you? As a number 2 with Philly, he's been mid as shit.
It's okay to prop up Paul George. Let's not act like he's got this killer instinct.
Okay,
he don't.
I never did. I say that?
You didn't.
But that's what I was talking about. I was talking about that
James Harden don't got no fucking killer instinct.
Did I say he did? Did I say
James Harden got killer instinct?
You're saying Paul George.
I literally said James Harden is picking the Clippers because at this point in his career, it's clear he can't. He has to play with another guy.
He can't be a number 2 at this point in his career either.
He has to play with another guy that's a clear cut alpha that can take over games.
Okay,
that's Kawhi Leonard.
He can't even be a beta right now, bro. He literally is a 3rd horse. He cannot be the number 1 and the number 2 right now. You know he can't. In Philly, he was a number 2. They underachieved. Again, in Brooklyn, he was a number 3.
Nah, bro,
he looked damn great. In Brooklyn, it is a number 3. He looked great as a number 3.
He could be a number 2.
Number 2 right now.
Okay, he could be a number 2 with Kawhi Leonard.
Oh,
but they're not. He could be a number 2 with Jokic and Giannis.
He wasn't even a number 2 with an MVP.
Let's talk about Paul George.
All right, I'm helping you out. Let me finish. Let me get this off. Let me ask you a question. Last year, without Paul George, Kawhi Leonard almost beat the Phoenix Suns. Yes or no? If he didn't get hurt, do you believe that the Clippers would have won? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, that is without Paul George.
Now
we're adding James Harden,
the one that just had stinkers.
Kawhi, who is way different than Joel Embiid in the playoffs. True or false?
Yes.
So now, as a beta to Kawhi Leonard's alpha, you're telling me that they wouldn't have gone past the Phoenix Suns?
I mean, if they was going to get past them without Harden, yeah, for sure. They wasn't beating Denver with Harden.
Exactly.
They wasn't beating Denver.
Saying.
So then they're going back to the second round, which he just lost in again.
But that's tough. I don't know if anyone was beating Denver.
So I don't understand what we're doing here.
But I'm just saying they're going to have success.
What's happening?
Yes.
All I said was that James Harden needs to play with a guy who could take over games, and that's Kawhi Leonard. That's not fucking Paul George. That's not Paul George. That's Paul George. Paul George. First year, Paul George OKC. First round exit. Second year, Paul George OKC. First round exit. Third year, first year with the Clippers, you flamed out in the bubble and was ass in the bubble. He was garbage. He was ass in the bubble.
If your statement is that,
let's stop acting like Paul George this guy. He's going to play with Kawhi, not Paul George.
Paul George is Kawhi wanted to play with Paul George. So what the fuck
you talking
He just
about?
wanted another second
If
star. That's what he
Kawhi-
wanted.
No, that's a
That's what
lie.
he
Kawhi
wanted. He wanted
openly
another
said,
second star.
I want to play
Get
with
Paul
Paul
George
George.
to
He
town
said,
or it's
get
not
me.
happening.
Openly said, I want Paul George. Get Paul George to the Clippers, and I will go there. He said that. So if the man who you deferring to wants that man, Ty Lue trusts that man when Kawhi went down, took them to their first WCF. It wasn't Kawhi. It was Paul George who did that. He broke a couple records doing that. Harden hasn't broke shit in the playoffs in a minute. If he did that, why would he not defer to a number 2? Ty Lue trusts Kawhi. Ty Lue trusts Paul George. There's nothing wrong with deferring as a number 3. He is a playmaker. That is what he's going to do. He's not that scorer.
deferred to
You understand, Paul George, that happened 2 years ago, right? What happened in the last 2 seasons? The last 2 seasons, Paul George, he got COVID before playing a playing game versus the Wolves. They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs.
Because Reggie Jackson was the best player in a playing
Paul
game.
George injuries was the reason why the Clippers didn't make the playoffs that year. Without
COVID. You just said COVID.
For that one game. When Kawhi Leonard was out the entire 21-22 season, Paul George was the main guy. He couldn't get them to the fucking playoffs. He
was hurt.
He couldn't get them to the playoffs.
You're a liar.
This past year, he was injured again. So you're talking about an injury-prone player.
Got him. They were at 5th seed when Paul George was healthy. You're lying. I caught you.
So last 2 seasons,
I remember
injury
that
concerns.
year, bar for bar. Paul George had him as a 5th seed in the West.
He was cooking.
He got hurt. Then they dropped, and they were still competitive.
This is when we started to talk about Tyronn Lue being one of the best in the
Minnesota,
game.
he played great up until the last minute. He wasn't that good towards the end. They lost the Minnesota game. Then he got COVID, and Reggie Jackson was the best player against the Pelicans. Don't do that, my boy. You cannot act like
you're down on this hill. We all know James Harden is a better all-time player. He's one of the best playmakers in the league right now. You want to act like Paul George got this killer instinct? He don't.
Well, all you had to do was say that he could play alongside a number 1 of Kawhi, as opposed to being a number 1 being a number 2 to Joel Embiid. Then your argument's better.
All I said was that James Harden needs.
But then you started to violate.
No. All I said because Rev acted like, oh no, he's actually playing with Paul George too. I said,
but
but that's not my point. My point is that James Harden needs to play with the guy who can take over games.
That's not Joel Embiid.
That's Kawhi Leonard.
Correct.
Kawhi Leonard is the alpha he needs. It's not no Paul George,
no
bro.
One's saying
that's what you were saying.
No, he wasn't.
No, what he's saying is,
so you know PG not that dude.
I know he's not. I'm okay with that. PG has admitted he's not. The problem is Harden is a delusional. He needs to play with not just an alpha, a beta, because he is no longer a beta. He is a number 3, bro. It's okay.
What is Paul George? He's been unreliable the last 2 seasons. He can't be
Kawhi's been unreliable.
At least James Harden could play and stink it up and have some great games in the mix. Paul George not even playing.
I don't know if that's a plus. I think I'd rather not.
James Harden had 2 40 balls that led to 2 victories against the Celtics in the second round. At least Harden could be available for those games.
But 4 complete stinkers, really 5, but one of them it was just 8 shots. He was 4 for 8, but 4 stinkers that really were the reason they lost the game. Game 7 they got blown out, sure, but games 2, 3, and 6. Oh my God!
Shit, I'd rather have a guy beside me than not have nobody at all. And Paul George last 2 seasons, he's not been there.
You just admitted James Harden quitted on Philly, but that's the guy you'd rather have beside you.
James Harden did quit on Philly, but he's going to the Clippers to play with Kawhi because he can take over.
Did he not quit with the Nets too?
The Nets is just a tricky situation.
He quit.
The Nets.
He quit with the Nets. He quit with the Sixers.
The Nets. He quit. I say, on the surface level, he quit with the Nets. But looking at what the Nets had become with Kyrie not being there the entire season, everybody basically leaving the next year, I think you can say in hindsight, Harden made the right decision and saw it coming.
Let me ask you a question though: are you not the same person that just told me that Dame would come to the Brooklyn Nets and make them dark horse contenders?
They have Mikal Bridges and Nick Claxton. They have developed. They were not that 2 years ago.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, they could have, but James Harden left. He quit. There's no doubt.
He left before the going got tough.
But at the time,
and then KD and Kyrie together were one of the best teams in the NBA.
But you have to understand that at the time when Harden requested the trade, it was still unknown whether Kyrie was going to play in the season or not. We weren't sure when he was going to come back, when he was actually going to be playing consistently. He requested a trade under the belief that Kyrie was most likely going to miss the season because Kyrie didn't come back in that season until later in the year when he had already been shipped off to Philly. And Kevin Durant was battling injury concerns. Look, there's no doubt. In hindsight, should he have sticked it out in Brooklyn a little bit longer? Yes. But ultimately, everybody on Brooklyn basically left. And I think James Harden left earlier because he saw that Kyrie was somebody that he couldn't really rely upon. And then the next year, Kyrie requested trade. So I think in hindsight, I give Harden some leeway for Brooklyn. But the Sixers one, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for the Sixers one. There's no one. But for the Brooklyn Nets one, that's a very particular situation.
I saw a comment that said, I just joined the live and it's a James Harden argument. Typical pick us out.
Typical as fuck.
The Lakers, are they the biggest free agent winners?
This is what I'm here for.
Here we go. Here's the meat of the show.
Of course. No. The big meat. The big meat of the show. Of course, the answer is 100% yes. The fact that Rob Pelinka, first off, let me say this. Rob Pelinka, solidified. Best GM. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That is the best GM in the association. Austin Reeves getting brought back on a 4-year, $56 million deal. When in reality, if I was any other team, I'm automatically offering Austin Reeves 80 to 100 million to force the Lakers' hand to offer them 100 million to handcuff them in making more offseason moves. Because since teams did not decide to do that, we were able to bring back D'Angelo Russell. We were able to sign Gabe Vincent to a 3-year, $33 million. We were able to bring back Rui Hachimura. We were able to bring in Taurean Prince for a year contract. We were able to bring Cam Reddish along. We were able to bring Jackson Hayes also a part for this ride for this upcoming season. The one thing you could point out is that maybe we could use some extra big depth. Jackson Hayes maybe wasn't the first option that I would have liked, absolutely sure. But regardless of that, he still addressed it. This offseason, of course, we drafted JHS at 17. At pick 40, I already spoke ad nauseum how much I love the Maxwell Lewis pick. The Lakers were unbelievable and have been unbelievable this offseason. Without a doubt, they are the number one winners in free agency.
I thought they had a great free agency, great offseason. I mean, they were a team that I'm trying to think of some other guys, but this was a team that had probably the most free agents, most, transactions across the NBA right now. Suns are up there because they signed like 6 guys to vet minimum deals, but actual real contributing role players. I mean, Reeves, 4 years, $56 million. That's, with all due respect to Pelinka, that's not Pelinka. That's no other team offered him a shit.
Dumb.
They're
dumb
for whatever reason.
Because they knew you was a match.
But even still, at
bro,
least
again, like I said, any other team should have just said, yeah, 4 years, 80.
Make it harder for the Lakers, who are going to be a contender for the next couple of seasons.
Is that what you do, though? Because the Lakers said they would match anything up to 98 mil.
Anything.
True. But what if another team did offer that, and then the Lakers don't offer it, and then they're like, damn, we didn't really want it.
We fell for our own bait.
But then the Lakers are fucked.
But then the team didn't. What if the team didn't really want Reeves?
Realistically, we need Reeves for next season. We
Desperately.
need him.
I think you should be able to tell that.
Because then what would our option have been?
Robert Presty, bro.
Presty.
They've been cooking. They need to start winning. But
they drafted 3 Hall of Famers.
All right.
I think you're giving Pelinka and first of all, the Lakers had an A+ offseason, including free agency, the draft. They had an amazing
trade deadline.
The deadline was good. It was good.
Bro, it changed our entire season.
It was good. The moves were good. The moves were really good.
Just making sure.
You cannot dismiss the situation Rob put you in the first place. You can't.
But people like to do. Listen, I don't disagree with you because I give Rob some blame for that too. But people automatically. What was the first thing people did when Russ came to town? Who was that on? Was that on Rob?
It was on Bron.
Or was that on LeBron?
You guys have openly dissed Rob a lot though for not making.
I agree. Oh, listen,
moves.
I've been on this microphone and I've disrespected him, but I'm righting my wrongs because all he's done is shut me up since the trade deadline.
I don't think you can say best until like.
Sam Presti has the only argument I'm willing to hear right now.
You get that.
Best GM is definitely recency bias.
Yeah, you get that tag when you do something.
I said right now in the NBA, he is the best GM.
Best GM is not just trades and acquisitions; it's also drafting. And Rob Pelinka,
well, undrafted was both
Reeves.
Caruso and Austin Reeves. Also, we'll see what happens with Max Christie. JHS is going to be a good. THT was mid, but he goes to Utah, has been good.
We can't say he has a win off of a player that hasn't played.
But I'll also say this: the only move I look at that was bad was the Russell Westbrook trade. Other than that, yes, it was a no-brainer, Anthony Davis. But some people try to argue that we lost the Anthony Davis deal when in reality that's a bunch of shit. It's not a good.
I don't know who's arguing.
It's
that.
not
it's probably Pelicans fans, so it's like
a lot of Twitter think that we lost that trade, and it's really idiotic. And then yes, then we get Russ. It becomes shaky. But this year we're pretty mediocre with Russ, below mediocre, honestly. He rights his wrongs. We trade Russ. We bring in Malik, who was not good for us. All we really needed to do was get Russ off the team. We bring in Jared, who ended up becoming unplayable in the Nuggets series. But really, it just allows for more opportunity for Austin Reeves. Oh, he brings in Rui Hachimura for a bunch of garbage.
Traded Jaden McDaniels.
That hurts.
Jaden? Who?
Yeah,
Us?
that hurts.
Yeah.
Drafted him and traded, or
selected Jaden McDaniels with first round pick 20.
We traded Desmond
2020 draft. Yeah,
at this
traded
trade
Danny
deadline.
Green and Jaden McDaniels to Oklahoma for Dennis Schroeder.
That hurts.
To
But
be
Dennis,
fair, though,
also, yeah, Dennis Schroeder has been great for us.
No, that was
playing with the
2020.
Lakers. I got you.
Yeah.
He was great for us that year with the Lakers. He kind of fell off towards the end of the season, which kind of
Is that
sucked.
the year he was bugging for the bag? He was actually
That he
Yes.
turned down $81 million.
Yeah, clown.
but to be fair, those trades that happen, that's not the team picking the player. Like, for example, if you look at the draft board of this past draft, the 24th pick, it's going to say that the Kings selected Omax,
Yes.
but it wasn't. The Mavs selected Omax. They just traded that pick. So the Lakers did not make that pick and then trade him. So that's the only thing I'll say there. I just,
Appreciate the defense, bro.
Rob Pelinka, listen, he's doing a good job. I think to say he's the best GM basketball is recently biased.
So what does he have worse?
But you can
Top 3?
I don't know. I don't go
You
around
have to see
ranking
the
GMs.
results.
People were also
Here's the
asking him to get
results.
fired.
He has
season, bro.
he has a
Like,
championship. Last year we started the season 2-10. We still made it to the WCF. I'm not here to throw in a parade for losing in the conference.
So wouldn't be
finals. I'm not.
Denver? Wouldn't
Is he
Denver be ahead of
better-
you guys?
Denver definitely is in the conversation for sure.
But Denver has to
Yes,
have
they
better
have to.
GM.
Wouldn't Pat Riley be in the conversation? He'd be.
Brad Stevens in the
Brad
Pat's the
conversation.
president. He's not the GM.
He makes. The
He still
moves,
makes all
though.
the moves,
Him and
though.
Spo probably.
I got you.
brain power.
Who is the actual GM for
It doesn't-
Miami?
we don't know
blanking.
because Pat makes all the fucking moves.
I think
Andy
ultimately,
Ellisberg.
that the Lakers
Tell me this guy.
have
Yeah,
won
no.
free agency. I think they're winners. The only thing that's their season's gonna be relying on is just health.
Yeah.
I look at AD in the last 3 seasons: 36 games, 40 games, 56 games. LeBron last 3 seasons: 45 games, 56 games, 55 games. When they won a championship, they both played 60 plus games, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the 1 year that LeBron and AD both play 55 plus games since the bubble, they're in the conference finals. Everything's relying on health, and that's
Agreed.
always a concern when LeBron is at the age he is. He just suffered an ankle injury that he's probably going to get surgery on. Well, I think he'll bounce back from it, but his body has shown us in the past couple seasons that it is more prone to breaking down, and AD, that's always a concern. They have won the offseason, though, there's no doubt. I think the only team that are coming second is the Phoenix Suns. And I think that's because a lot of people just they have not watched the players the Phoenix Suns acquired, and they're just saying that it's not a good offseason. But Eric Gordon was a good signing, but he's not even the player I'm highest on that they signed. I'm really high on Keita Bates-Diop. And I know that people are just looking at the name and being like, well, who is that? Who is that? Keita Bates-Diop is going to be a good player for the Suns. They also re-signed Josh Okogie, who in the playoffs didn't get much burn, but in the regular season, he was huge for them in that rotation. Primary defender, was a great slasher for them, was hitting open corner 3-point shots. So I think the Suns, with the money they had available to them, they did a good job signing free agents. And what I do like about the moves they made is that usually when you see big threes created, I look at Miami back in 2010 with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. They usually fill out their rosters with aging veterans like Mike Bibby or like Baron Davis, and players like that are like they can't play. They're not who they were 3 years ago. The Suns have signed a bunch of players that to most people are unknowns, but that have something to prove. And the Phoenix Suns gave them the best possible opportunity of saying, listen, you're not well known in the NBA, but if you come to us, you'll get minutes to play and you can up your value to now get a great contract for yourself. And I think that helped out the Suns a lot in their free agency. That's why guys like Keita, Yuta went to them, Drew Eubanks. Like, these are not starters, but I think for what they
Definitely
need them
not
to do in their role, they're good.
Barely 6 minutes.
I don't know. Like, it's the Suns. They had to make do with veteran minimum contracts. That's all they had, right? And they bring in all of these guys, and you could talk them up. Hell, they might even have good regular seasons. They might have good efficiency, whatever it is. But you're still going to be going into the playoffs because I think we're off the Lakers at this point, right? Great offseason, A+. We can move on. Cool.
We could.
So
we could, or we
we
can
talk
talk about
the
how
Suns.
Calvin Booth was a first-year GM for the Denver Nuggets. Are we automatically calling him the best, even though what he came into was an already built foundation?
If not, you can say Tim Connolly's better than
Due to
him.
why no,
Tim
they
Con-
played 16
he's
minutes
not.
last.
He's not on. He's
16
not the GM.
minutes
Yeah.
of the season?
Yeah. No. Good
Oh.
God. No, he averaged 16 again.
Oh,
16 minutes.
No, I'm saying Tim Connolly was on
He got
the
promoted.
Nuggets
I got
and
you.
then went to the Wolves.
Uh-huh.
And the Gobert trade, that you can
poop.
Yeah, you can
Poop.
say the Westbrook trade was poop too.
But again, he righted his wrongs.
He did.
He for sure did. So
He
I don't
did.
think that makes him the best.
But
That just
Tim
means he's
Connolly,
getting there.
In my opinion,
he's-
right now,
he's
Sam
fixing.
Presti,
Shocker.
Sam Presti, yes, that's the one I can
Brad?
hear. Brad,
Pelinka,
but
Pelinka
really,
had to fix
but
a
again,
broken roster.
Brad doesn't have the chip.
He
Last
doesn't.
year,
That's facts.
we could have had the conversation.
Okay.
But that's year 1 of becoming a GM too, right? If I'm wrong, because
Brad's
Ime
going into year.
now it's going to be
So
year
we-
3.
so-
But I'm saying the year before when you guys lost to Golden State,
Yep.
yes, that was year 1 of him being a GM. But again, he hasn't won anything.
Tim Connolly
And
drafted.
this year they underachieved. Let's be real.
Tim Connolly drafted a second Hall of Famer in the second round.
No, he
Yeah,
has
the
the
Jokic shit's
greatest
crazy.
single draft pick in the
He
history
drafted
of the
MPJ.
NBA.
He drafted Jamal Murray. Like that is still.
But to
he
get back to
got
the Suns,
KCP and Aaron Gore on the
To
roster.
I
to
got
get
you,
back
but
to the
then now he's
Suns
on the
because
Wolves.
we
But
have
Utah
all
Watanabe
veteran
has
minimums.
119 games played.
We have all veteran minimums,
He's a
and you're
sniper.
hyping these guys up, and they might be nice pieces. But right now, as we stand, there's 3 players on this roster you can be trusting come playoff time. It's Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton, we can't trust. Yuta Watanabe, we can't trust. Bates Diop, we can't trust. Eric Gordon, I guess he's
You
been in
can.
those moments.
He's a good defender.
He's been in those
You can
moments.
definitely trust him.
Yeah, so maybe you want to say them, but even still, Eric Gordon, right, as you're one of the guys you'll be counting on.
Probably your
pretty
5th most reliable.
profusely
5th most
in the
reliable.
playoff
player.
run is ugly.
Listen, him, Eric Gordon, he takes some shots where you like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
he
yo,
has some Jordan
based on-
Poole in him.
No, deeper. He has some parking lot.
Oh, I say
threes.
6 because campaign's still on the squad.
My rebuttal to
He be
that
shooting that shit.
is as simple as this. And I think that this is what happens when we just look at the playoffs only and not what these players have done, like their body of work. Keita Bates-Diop this past season with the Spurs averaged 10 points and shot 39% from 3. He is a great defender. He does have great length.
Yeah,
Like that is part of his skill set and what he can do as a basketball player. Whether or not the shot or not is going to fall in the playoffs is a completely different question, but you know he'll play defense at a high level, regular season or playoffs, either or. I don't think the Suns are done. I think they are one bench piece away from people actually legitimizing their bench. And I'm talking about like one household name. Eric Gordon was one of those guys they had to get for people to be like, okay, now I'm kind of respecting what they're doing. I do understand that everybody, including you guys, have to first see Keita Bates-Diop, Yuta, and Drew Eubanks. You guys have to first see them for you to
I
believe
Drew
them.
I have to see it in the playoffs. I don't care what they're going to be doing in October,
You know what I
November,
find
December.
odd? Because didn't he just say, "Oh, let's not hype up Kristaps Porzingis for doing too much in Washington"?
Yeah,
He
that's
did,
very well
and
said.
then he's hyping up all these players that
Played
didn't
on
play much
nothing.
minutes. Or like Jordan
And Keita
Goodwin.
Bates-Diop was on the Spurs.
Jordan Goodwin
was
played
having-
18 minutes for the Wizards. He didn't get much burn for the Wizards.
Well, that's a two completely different scenarios.
Ah.
Kristaps Porzingis is going from being the first option to being the third option on the Celtics.
Oh.
His role is going to be minimized tremendously.
And Jordan
That
Goodwin
a
is
fact.
going from the 10th option on the Wizards to now being a key, vital part to the Suns' championship piece.
I don't know. I don't think he's a key vital part.
Somebody
I think he's
has
like,
to. Who's it
all
gonna
of these
be?
guys have the
Who-
same
who's gonna
situation.
be
but
the
this
key
is the
vital
thing that you
part?
guys are not getting.
It doesn't
Jordan
matter Eric
Goodwin.
Gordon. Trust me, you don't want it to be Eric
These
Gordon.
are all players that have to prove themselves, yes, but that was a bad example because these players are coming in and getting maximized roles. They're getting a better role, so their numbers are going to look better.
They're getting opportunity.
Unlike KP, whose role is going to be minimized. That's why the numbers
the
will be down.
Just because you
But
got opportunity doesn't mean it's
Minimize,
gonna be better.
but also,
minimize
I'm looking-
minimally.
But
minimum.
also, I'm looking at KD, Beal, Devin Booker. Those are 3.
For sure.
DeAndre Ayton. Listen,
Ooh.
I'm not going to defend DeAndre Ayton because I think it's a crime that he was so bad in the playoffs. He made Jock Landale look good, and Jock Landale got paid because of how shitty DeAndre Ayton was. But have I lost all hope on Ayton? I have seen Ayton in a playoff run, the Suns' finals run, be a top 7 center in basketball and be vitally important to what they did. I do think the relationship with him and Monty was sour, and a change of coach could maybe get him back to his form and get him to at least being a top 10 center who's going to rebound the goddamn ball. If I'm counting on Ayton, I have Eric Gordon 5. Cameron Payne is a good backup point guard. He has injury concerns, but he's a good backup point guard. Josh Okogie in the regular season was great for the Suns last year. Those guys like Yuta, Keita, Jordan Goodwin, Eubanks, those are their 7th to 11th players in their rotation. They're not the 5th best players in their rotation. I think those guys will have to prove themselves and fight for their minutes, but I think those are good signings. Like Yuta didn't get to play much once KD left because when KD left, they had to now give minutes to 2 wings and Mikal and Cam Johnson.
Yep.
If Kevin Durant was there for the entire season, Yuta would have got more playing time. And Jock Vaughn also, he's made some questionable rotation changes by Cam Thomas not playing much with the Nets either. You know, he's not a perfect coach. So I think Keita Bates-Diop is a good player. He's underrated. I will continue to say this. I think that despite Eric Gordon's name and what people think of him, I think Keita Bates-Diop was the best Suns accusation, and I think that he's going to be huge for the Suns. I really do think so. I think he's an underrated player. He's a good Keita Bates-Diop.
Oh,
I think he's a good NBA player. He's a good role player.
He might be. It's going from San Antonio to Phoenix is a huge jump.
A lot of trust on these guys who are looking for a role, looking for an identity in the NBA.
Still have no depth at the big position.
And I think like people are feeling excited about these moves. Like people are saying these moves are underrated because these guys, the Suns are one of the few teams that had actual real space on a contender for players to really prove themselves. Like Boston, they just need a guard, like another guard. The Bucks, they need guys, but they're really, really short on money. And even then, they still got a pretty 6-7 deep roster. The Suns needed a full damn near roster to get in there to fit around Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. Now, the spacing is going to be beautiful with those three. You know, you got Devin Booker, who's a plus playmaker. Kevin Durant has his moments as a playmaker. Bradley Beal is a solid playmaker. So there's going to be time for these guys to be ready. And it's just the question, as optimistic as you can be about these guys in those roles, we can for sure question how are they going to look like in a heightened role with a lot more expectations, a lot more spotlight on them, because where they were at, there wasn't much to like. There wasn't much.
Nothing.
They were really playing to lose. So it's the spotlight is going to be on them. You know, it's just a wait and see process with these players. Eric Gordon, I agree with you though. Like I watched him. He gives you things that are good, and he does shit are bad. Like
sketchy.
the shot
He's a
diet
good
is
role
all right.
player. That's
you know?
what he is.
Definitely.
But the thing about big three teams, though, is that teams that are top heavy don't need the world's best role players.
Mhm.
You're ultimately relying on the star players to show up. You know, as long as the Suns get that 20 plus points per game production, I wouldn't even say 20 plus. As long as they got D-Book and KD playing at their level, Beal giving them 20, and just role players doing little things, they don't need much to win.
But even in Miami Big Three, they had proven role players. Shane Battier was proven. Mike Miller was proven. Mario Chalmers was proven.
Ray Allen.
Udonis Haslem, Ray Allen. Those were proven role players. With the Boston, they had Rondo proven. Well, Rondo was a part of the Big Four, but whatever. Kendrick Perkins was proven. Tony Allen was proven. Like these Big Threes
was on that Boston team too? Or
probably later. I don't know. I don't think if he was on
the
Okay.
chips.
But these Big Threes, even the Lakers, if you want to stretch them to a Big Three, they had proven role players. Like a lot of these teams had proven role players. This Phoenix Suns team is bringing in a bunch of new, fresh guys that are not necessarily, they're not even proven in the bad teams in those rotations. These are fresh guys that are really have not found a spot in the NBA.
Same thing with the Nuggets. Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon became that third of the big three, but when they trade for him, he was still expected to be the four.
But ain't nobody know Bruce Brown is going to be this good. People still slept on him after the season he had in Brooklyn last year.
I think he was more proven than Bates-Diop.
For sure.
Significantly.
After Brooklyn, yeah.
Significantly.
Exactly. Yeah. So and even still a guy like Christian Brown who came alive in the finals. Like you still had players who were able.
Huh? It
is. But even if you want to look at the Lakers, guys like
I'm not
Austin
disrespecting
Reeves,
Christian.
Rui,
I'm just saying Jokic makes everyone around.
Bruce Brown, you could say, is more proven than Diop. It wasn't by like a significant margin, though. Bruce Brown had the playoffs, but before the Nets last year, Bruce Brown was shooting 29% from three, 26% from three, 34% from three. He wasn't this proven shooter. Then he comes into last season, he shoots 40% from three, and that translates for the Nuggets where he shot 36%. Like, players are players.
How many minutes a game?
Which one? This year or which one?
No, last year. The last year with the Nets.
The Nets, he played 25 minutes a game.
So Diop,
he played 21.
21,
22.
Regardless,
22.
He shot 39% from three, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
something like that.
Yeah, it was 2 attempts. Damn.
2 attempts is still 2 attempts, and I think Bruce Brown wasn't shooting like 4 threes a game either.
But he did.
But Bruce Brown was an elite defender.
Yes,
what I'm saying is that looking at a player and how he plays, I feel comfortable in translating that player to a situation where it's going to be no defensive tension on them, and he's going to have to be in a role where he can just play defense. And Keita Bates-Diop can do that in the Heat. They got depth after like the second year of the Big Three.
It was
before that, like when they versus the Mavericks versus OKC, their depth was not there. You know, it wasn't. It was Chalmers, Battier, then Haslem, Joel Anthony, Mike Miller played 16 minutes.
Those are proven guys.
But those were our guys. But those were our guys key for the year after. I'll say Birdman was definitely integral the year after that. Ray Allen for
don't
sure.
Don't forget Mike Miller, man.
No, Mike Miller was a dog both years.
Don't forget.
But ultimately, I like the Suns' approach more than signing 35-year-olds that are just ring chasing that are 3 years past what they could provide for a team.
Isn't that Eric Gordon?
Eric Gordon he's like in the middle of that, because I don't think that, like I said, I don't think he's their best free agent accusation. I don't. I think it was Keita Bates-Diop, and I think he's going to prove it.
So do these signings, right? They signed 5-6 guys. Does this change your outlook on the Suns? Because you came in, you were very high on this from the Bradley Beal move, if I remember correctly.
Oh, they're contenders, yeah. The Suns are 100%
contenders.
They were,
that,
but I'm
yeah.
saying, is this better than expected? Worse than expected for you? This
Honestly,
sounds like you think this is one of the best moves they could have made.
Honestly, this offseason gave me more confidence in the Suns going into next year. They were able to fill out the roster with people that can defend, that can rebound, and that can hit open shots. That's all they needed.
They should have went out and got Javon, man.
Javon Carter would have been,
but he got
huge
20
for
mil from.
Yeah,
from the
that was
Bulls,
a decent bag.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat I was before the Bradley Beal trade, or excuse me, after the Bradley Beal trade. Is you have the 3 stars, your bench is going to be a whole bunch of guys on vet minimums that haven't proven much. So once the playoffs come around, what's more likely to happen? That Bates-Diop and Watanabe don't show up, or they have these insane performances and they're hitting 40-45% of their threes. I think it's more likely we set this table a year from now and said, you know what? It's not shocking Bates-Diop and Watanabe and all these guys didn't work out. They probably weren't ready for the spotlight.
Here's a sniper.
Listen, that's the NBA.
Let me see.
The NBA is all about surprises. You can play the law average all you want, but was anybody here expecting that Christian Brown in the NBA Finals is going to be one of the huge energetic pieces for them?
But what was the percentage still? 44? Yeah, it's insane.
Same as Bates-Diop.
What I was saying, though, is that
Temps.
the NBA, we're not sure what's going to happen. You know, the Suns have 1 of 32 chances to win the NBA Finals, because that 1 of 30 chances to win the NBA Finals. I think they're a top team in the West, and I do think that they're within that top 3. I think it's the Nuggets. I think it's the Lakers. I think it's the Suns. Those are the 3 that I'm picking. And listen, if the Suns
conversation shifts so quickly,
if the Suns go to facing the Lakers, you know, Lakers got more depth, but that star power the Suns have with that space and could override that. So I don't know who wins, you know, but I'm saying I give the Suns a chance in every series they have.
Star power. What star power?
KD, D-Book, and Bradley Beal.
I think LeBron, AD, and any role player would be perfectly fine against KD, Book, and
I agree.
Bradley Beal.
I agree.
Or even 2 role players, 3 role players, maybe even 4.
Do that.
Even Jokic,
I
Murray,
think-
and Aaron Gordon can be fine against.
Are
those
we going to
big
be able
threes.
to stop them? No. I think they'll have a harder time limiting us than them, though.
You
That's
have
your
the
opinion.
defense. No, they have
Is
the
that wrong?
defensive.
I mean, but you got to rebut.
people. They have the roster.
That's your
like,
opinion.
come on, man.
No,
they have
yeah,
the defensive
they-
personnel
yeah.
too. I don't know if
It's not.
Do.
The Lakers
I
are
don't
better
have
than
to-
Phoenix.
The rebuttal in it is pointless because you're not going to see what I see.
But I
What do
think
you
it's
mean,
pretty.
bro?
It's pretty clear they have better
Hey,
defensive personnel.
Oh,
I take offense to that, bro. I like to think of myself as the most open-minded here. Talk to me. Let me go into the mind of Joel Moran.
What do you see, young brethren?
Why that the Suns' offense is going to be harder to stop than the Lakers' offense?
No, you said they have more star power. That's what we're questioning.
Well, they do have more star power. Than Drew said that the Lakers can have a better time getting theirs offensively than the Suns.
Well, the
I think
Lakers.
the
I think
Suns
he's
are
saying
way
that
better
because the
offensively.
Lakers are way better defensively.
Correct.
They're
That's
sound.
that's
It's
exactly.
It's
unit.
actually not even close.
Like
What's-
Phoenix is not going to be as great as Lakers are defensively.
What baffles me about people is that the Suns
I
are
think
not
they're
a
a big group.
bottom 20 defensive team.
No,
They're
the
not
Lakers are one
like
of the best
the
defense
Nets.
team-
Lakers were
defensive
just
team.
number 1 in the playoffs.
Okay, the Suns were a top 10 defense in the league this past year.
But that was also with McHale and Cam on the team.
And they
With
also got
with Kevin
violated
Dur-
by Denver.
With Kevin, everybody got violated
I
by
understand,
Denver.
but
Yeah,
that's
we
the
were
guys
the
you're gonna.
worst against
That's
them,
the
to be
guys
fair.
you're gonna have to play when you go to win a
You
championship.
just heard Drew. The Lakers defense was the worst against Denver than the Suns. And the Suns they only had 2 players.
But they also were unbelievable shooting the basketball. Like
Yeah.
like it could not continue.
But I'm
efficient.
not gonna judge the Suns off of if they can stop Denver. Denver is a historically great offense. Nobody can stop them. That's why the Suns moved this offseason was to get a player who can score 25 a game. He's proven he can score 30 a game because they need that firepower. What I'm talking about when it comes to the Suns and the Lakers and just looking at their firepower, like LeBron James, Anthony Davis, nobody's gonna stop AD or LeBron. LeBron James at this point in his career is still a limited shooter. I think that in terms of scoring the basketball, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are better scorers than Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
I think that's easy.
And then having Bradley Beal as your third option versus someone like Austin Reeves. Bradley Beal is a 10 times better scorer than Austin Reeves. They have more firepower. I understand
Into the depth.
Let's
Let's get into Rui.
I understand the depth.
D'Lo.
But listen, I'm not gonna rule out that Keita Bates-Diop can have a Rui-like ascension.
Oh my
I'm
God.
I'm not.
Stop. And we're not even talking about the
I'm
work
not.
that Jared Vanderbilt's about to put into this offseason
I'm
either.
not.
If Keita Bates-Diop can have this crazy role, then I can bank on Jared Vanderbilt getting better.
You can bank on Jared Vanderbilt shooting 39% from three.
No way.
And if you're gonna push Peyton Pritchard, fuck it, I'm going Kobe White.
Like, bro, at this point, we're just going to say fucking random ass role players can step up. Yeah, any of them.
The problem here is that I think that I've watched more Keita Bates-Diop than all you guys. That's
maybe
what I think
anyone in the
probably is.
entire world.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I don't believe you. I don't believe you went back and watched San Antonio Spurs.
I watched San Antonio Spurs game. That's why I'm such a big Jeremy Sohan fan.
What number is he?
Number
Got him.
Oh no, Joel, that's foul.
I'm looking at his hair when I watch the Spurs, man. I'm not looking at the number.
I'm fucking with
I don't know. I think the Lakers.
18.
Max didn't even mention Gabe Vincent either. Which is
Check Jeremy Sohan's number. Is it 18? It's between.
was talking about
It's in the
Bates-Diop.
teens.
I thought Jeremy
talking about
Sohan was
Bates-Diop.
0.
He might be 0.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like he's in the teens.
I think like the Lakers are just so deep, man.
10.
10. Wow.
Yeah, there's a 0 in there.
My goodness.
Sorry, man.
Number 10. I would have never guessed it.
Tough number.
God damn, that was funny.
Lakers deep, man.
That was fucked up. That's your man's.
Listen,
Because even
call
after
me with the number shit.
Yeah.
That number shit catching me off
no,
guard.
I don't.
There
I don't
was
know
one-
numbers either.
There was one day we was in front of Enjoy Basketball in the event they had, and one of the guys came up to me with trivia, and there was like, what jersey number did the finals MVP of this past finals wear?
You know,
It was Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And I was
Bro,
like,
folded.
what the
Yeah.
hell? I don't know who it is. Then they asked Riv, what's Kevin Durant's Nets number? And he ain't
What's
know
Jokic's
either.
number?
Now I know it's 35.
Do you know?
35.
Do you know Jokic's
27?
number?
no,
that's
35,
Murray.
35, 35,
Oh,
35,
35,
35,
okay.
35.
I'm not good. with
35 is
numbers either.
who?
Jokic, I'm
Jokic.
pretty sure.
No, it's not.
31, 30, one of the two.
15.
Oh my God. Why did
Yeah.
you put that in my head that it was 35? That's Kevin Durant.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought you said 35.
I don't know. I said 27, but that's Murray.
No, but Kevin Durant's number on the Nets was 7.
It
Okay.
was.
Nah, I'm not good with numbers either.
It was definitely 15.
So you think the Suns are better than Lakers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
I don't know, man. Lakers deep, man. Because even
They're
after
super deep.
even after LeBron, AD, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, right? Bradley Beal, great player.
Comfortable.
But then you have Reeves, you have Rui.
All the role players are significantly
Like,
better.
you have role players that can give Gabe Vincent. Those three can
Like,
offset
some of them are
Bradley
better than
Beal.
Ayton.
Oh shit, I forgot they had him. keep forgetting.
But like Reeves
dead.
or Ayton.
Oh no, if he's going up against AD, he's fucked.
Yeah.
AD.
Hey, but listen, if Aiden goes
historically has
back to
dominated.
what he was
What was he?
first finals run,
Oh,
the
okay.
Suns' first finals run, that's
Who Ayton?
Wasn't the,
that's a great player. That's a
Oh.
great player. That is. a
you're
great player.
waiting for that? That was
You got to
3
you got to
years
feel
ago.
good with Vogel.
That's not first overall pick good, but that's great.
Oh well, that's
Frank,
ship itself.
Frank Vogel is a guy who's a defensive mastermind. The Suns will have a top 10 defense, and he'll have a top 3
You know what's
offense.
interesting about that point? Every time he's had a top defensive rating, he's had the personnel for it. Indiana, he had Roy Hibbert, he had Paul George, Lance Stevenson, George Hill on the wings, commanding shit. With the Lakers, he had Anthony Davis holding down the fort. He had Caruso. Like, he had the personnel. I don't know if he has the personnel to warrant a top. What'd you say just now? Top 7 defense.
Top 10.
But they were
10.
top 7 after the All-Star break, after the deadline. So I don't know if he has the personnel, Vogel, to warrant that. I mean, outside of Keita Bates Jr., Josh Okogie, he would have to ask for a lot. Because even with the Lakers, he had AD. With the Pacers, he had Roy Hibbert as an elite rim protector. Ayton is not that unless he can get him to that. So Vogel, when he has the personnel, he puts out an elite defense. I don't know if the Suns have that.
Well,
Everyone's
sure, I mean,
flaming us for not knowing these numbers, by the way.
Oh, I don't give a
Okay,
fuck.
Well, sure. I think we had this little disagreement on another episode where I think Devin Booker's a great defender.
But I don't think he's a
really good
stopper.
defender.
I think
So-
Kevin Durant is a great defender. I think Kevin Durant is a great weak side rim protector.
I think the only thing that
weak
stops
side
Booker's
rim
size.
protector. I do think
But
so.
outside that, he's really
I
good
think
defender.
Bradley
Yeah.
Beal, when he doesn't have to score 30 a game for his team to win, can lock in defensively and play great defense. I do. I seen it when he was with John Wall paired up with him. You know,
was a
DeAndre
while
Ayton is
ago.
the wild card. He's
is.
really the wild card, and all of this really working. But if you're telling me that DeAndre Ayton at least goes back to what he was when they made the finals, then the Suns look like a very scary team.
Nobody's scared of DeAndre Ayton.
Probably not.
Like, not
If he
Especially-
just plays a role,
He's gonna have to go up against Jokic or Anthony Davis.
And
Anthony Davis
also,
actually historically destroys. him.
Javon Carter, great signer for the Bulls. I think him and Jordan Goodwin have similar skill sets and can provide similar things. I think Javon Carter is a better player, but let's not forget that
I
Javon
had the
Carter
basketball reference real quick.
this past season with
Yo, that's crazy.
Javon Carter this past season with the Bucks was his first real season with opportunity. Before that, he never got any playing time, and I've always been a big Javon Carter fan. Jordan Goodwin is a good point of attack defender, and he does the little things like Javon Carter does. I'm not saying it's going to be Javon Carter, but he has a similar mold to him.
Carter shot 42% from the 3-point line.
What did he shoot the year before?
The year before he shot 55 when he got traded to Brooklyn, to Milwaukee. In Brooklyn, 46 games, only played 12 minutes. He shot 33.
That's when there were allegations on Javon's name, and then he got traded to Milwaukee and showed that he was
Javon Carter for his career, 15 minutes per game, 16, 12 minutes, 18 minutes, and 22 with the Bucks this past season. He finally got his opportunity with the Bucks, and that was 4 years into his career.
Yeah, but every year outside of his rookie year, in that moment with Brooklyn, he shot above league average from the 3-point line.
I've always been a big Javon Carter fan.
I don't know.
I have. Since he was on the Suns.
The only person who was not a
Carter.
big Javon Carter fan on this show was JC.
And I told him every time we talked about it, I like Javon Carter.
And then Jordan Goodwin, 32% from the 3-point line. At least 18 minutes. I don't know, bro.
You need guys to outperform what you're expecting.
A lot of these dudes didn't play.
Yeah, basically none of them.
God. John just said that Drew Eubanks is better than DeAndre Ayton.
Drew Eubanks is better than Jacques Lando, for sure.
I've watched Drew Eubanks play. He plays like
an energetic bunny.
No, he plays like an AAU big man that don't have a team and just got picked up like literally 20
just trying
minutes
to show
ago.
off.
That's lit. I respect that.
Playing one-on-one.
Yeah,
no, he's a great rebounder.
He just comes in like, yeah, fuck it. I just got here. Yo, we need one. All right. Like he one of them fresh gym dudes who just got here trying to get in. Like he got mad energy for no reason.
I respect Jess. She's all up in this chat defending the Phoenix Suns.
She is.
Oh yeah, I know.
Nah,
She's
she
fighting for her life.
killed me, bro. She's like, Joel, that was literally my take.
Well, where's what she say?
She said that she still has faith in DeAndre Ayton, but this is literally his last chance to prove it to her.
Jess was talking to me the other day about DeAndre, and we were just in the porch hanging out, and she was like, "Can you believe it that like DeAndre was so bad that he made this guy Jock Landale look good?
It's impressive."
And he made him a millionaire.
He's like, he got Jock Landale a bag.
She was like, people think Jock Landale is actually good because of how bad Ayton was. Yeah, nah, that's a horrible
That might be the
contract.
worst contract given out.
Nah, she's a true
Dylan Brooks
Suns
got
fan.
80 mil.
I think giving Lindell 32.
Oh no, we'll talk about that. That shit blew mine.
So a lot of these this next segment, we're gonna compare these free agent deals like wine, age better with time. You know me, I'm thinking all these Suns moves might age better with time. That's what I'm looking at right now.
So they'll be gone if they do.
2-year deals.
They'll be their last chance.
They're like all team options, or excuse me, player options.
None of them are coming.
I'm looking at which deals are gonna age like fine wine. And the first one I gotta mention is Kyrie Irving, 3 years, $126 million.
This guy really is just
41
chancla at its fucking finest.
41 mil a season.
Flip flop.
Oh,
and Drew was asking me the other day, what happened to Kyrie? What happened to the Mavericks? You said it'd be disastrous if they paid him a max contract.
Who said that?
You said that.
Huh?
You said that. I said that.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Stroke. I'm the only one that supported Kyrie post being traded to Dallas.
And I said,
yeah. All right. He's in the conversation too.
And I said, Drew, well, listen, I didn't know the Mavericks were going to come in this hot in the offseason.
Yeah. Talk to me about their moves. What did they do?
I mean, let's look at the moves in the draft. They drafted Derek Lively, not even the number 10. They traded back 2 spots, offloaded Davis Bertans, one of the worst contracts in the NBA, off their books. Yep. They drafted Derek Lively. They took on Rashawn Holmes, who, according to Drew, is better than Jared Allen.
He's not on that team. Long time ago.
They took Rashawn Holmes' contract.
Jared Allen got exposed. I'm just going to say that. He got exposed this past
Holmes doesn't play anymore.
He will on the Mavs.
Probably.
They drafted Olivier Maxson Prosper.
One of my dogs.
That's
no. They had an amazing draft.
Why do you do that to me?
But please get on to the
amazing
moves
draft.
That you said
and
they
now
had,
this amazing draft led them to do a couple things. They signed Kyrie Irving to 3 years, $126 million. Yeah. But you want to know what's the most important part about the Kyrie Irving contract? If they would have given him a max, they would have been over the second apron, which means they wouldn't have been able to sign a player on the biennial exception, which is who? Seth Curry, which they used it on, and they still have the mid-level exception available to them. And I'm hoping they get Grant Williams. That'd be a huge addition.
Yep.
They signed Seth Curry. They re-signed Dwight Powell, who's not a starting center, but he's a backup center for 3 years, $12 million. That's nothing. And I'm looking at the Mavericks getting back Seth Curry, getting a rim protector defensive first guy in Derek Lively, getting Omax who can one day grow with these guys. One, their young core in Luka, Hardy, Josh Green, Omax, and Lively is looking pretty promising. And the free agent moves and the ability to stay under the second apron is really what led them to having a great offseason. If they would have gave Kyrie Irving a max contract, that would not be possible. And Seth Curry, last time he was on Dallas, was amazing. And I think he's going to be amazing for them again this upcoming season. You can question the defense all you want, but I think the Mavericks had an offseason I was not expecting.
Well, the defense was the problem. So, we want to question this, that, and the third, but the offense wasn't the problem.
It's always been the defense.
The defense was the main issue last year. And I wouldn't say always, because when they went to the WCF, their defense
this season
this season when Kyrie got there, the defense was the issue. And it's because they had no backline defense. And they allowed a lot of paint points, and what they addressed that in the draft. They had an amazing draft. Will Lively and Prosper be ready by day one? I don't know, but hence why you bring back Dwight Powell. You bring in Richaun Holmes. Richaun Holmes is known as this great rim protector, but you need those young guys to be ready pretty much ASAP because you're going to need a backline defense. You still brought back most of your team. I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 guys that shot over 38% from the three-point line, and then Kleber and Luka shot over 34% from the three-point line. So this is a snipering team. You brought in Seth Curry for more offense, but offense was never really the issue. Defense has been the issue. So as long as they get back to that defensive identity, they'll be fine because offensively, when you have Luka, you have Kyrie, you'll always be great. So I wouldn't say this was like a amazing offseason because they didn't do too much in the free agency. They just brought back Kyrie on a good deal. They had a great draft. They just need to make sure Prosper and Lively are ready and day one, and they'll be okay.
Did you just tell me that Luka doesn't shoot league average from 3?
Probably takes stupid attempts.
He does take some wild ass shots.
Man, you would think that.
And listen, sometimes all it takes is a couple moves.
What other contracts did you? Because this is the age like fine wine topic.
Yeah, who are you? I can get my contracts while you get yours, Rib.
I'll have to find.
That's fine. Very easily, Austin Reeves, 4-year, $56 million. If you're surprised hearing me say that, you just obviously don't listen to me talk. The fact that we were able to essentially put forth the minimal amount of money that we wanted to give Austin Reeves was very, very impressive to me. Other teams could have definitely offered more. They didn't. We get him for a steal. And last, I want to mention, I believe very firmly, Dante DiVincenzo to the New York Knicks will age like fine wine. The Nova boys, that Nova connection is special in New York with, of course, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and now Dante DiVincenzo. Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart played excellent basketball in the postseason. Dante DiVincenzo played himself into this contract. I believe very firmly that it fit perfectly with the New York situation, and that contract will be well worth it.
The Reeves contract was the best one out of all of these. 4 years, $56 million.
Yep.
Nas Reed re-signed on the
MLE.
There it is. That's a very great one.
Can I say a trade instead of a contract?
Maybe.
He's like fine wine.
We're talking about contract specifically. Nas Reed was great, and I thought it was a pretty big deal. It was interesting that the Celtics, will see what happens with this Porzingis deal, but he was able to get an extension of 2 years up to $78 million. He took a pay cut, 2 years, $60 million. So I feel like the Celtics getting him on 30 per year instead of upwards of 40 per year was a good deal by them.
And that changes the way you can build your team. Austin Reeves is getting paid less than these players.
Okay, I got a good one.
Max Strus, Karis LeVert, Kevin Huerter, Lou Dort, Gary Trent, Norman Powell, Evan Fournier, and Gary Harris on an annual basis.
Also, the Nets getting Dennis Smith and Lonnie Walker on the minimum are very good moves.
I'm going to go Herb Jones, man.
Okay.
Herb Jones.
Got his money.
Age.
That was my pick.
Oh, I'm so sorry, bro. You should have went before.
How about Cody Zeller?
I'm sure you have 5.
You usually have like 17.
No, I do.
I knew it. So you'll be all right. Herb Jones, man, 12 million and 13 mil. He has 8 honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of honorable
mentions. You put all the Suns on there?
Only one.
Keita?
Keita.
I know it.
Was Dante DiVincenzo on there, or you're a fake Knicks fan?
No, Dante DiVincenzo is not in my honorable mentions. He's in my He's like fine one.
Nice.
I love the Dante love. Shout out to you.
Hell
all.
yeah.
Love Dante.
I'm a Villanova guy, man.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I definitely can't say that I'm a Nova guy. No way.
No, he's like 1,000% lying.
No.
Why do you think that?
Name 5 players that went to Villanova right now.
Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo.
No,
he can have them. He can have them. Go. Oh, fuck. Josh Hart. You got stuck, and one of them is your favorite player.
Spencer.
Anybody did not go to Villanova.
No, not him. I know.
Kyle Lowry was Nova, right?
Thanks for helping him. Yes.
Come on, bro.
That was a minute ago, though. One of your favorite players went to Villanova. You can't think of it. It's insane, bro. Mikal Bridges was at Villanova.
I know,
bro.
I know. I was thinking. I'm trying to. Omari Spellman. My bad.
You picked him?
That was he
saying
was on the top of my
Spencer.
head.
Yeah, Spellman went there.
Spencer.
No, I
Who
was
is
trying
Spencer
to.
Hawes?
No, I was trying to think of Amari Spellman, and I said Spencer first.
Oh, I got you.
That's 4, buddy.
Amari Spellman is one.
That's 4.
Okay, I can name
Give me
more.
one more. You can't.
Chris, the guy with the jumper.
Jenkins.
Chris Jenkins.
That's not yours.
I was
That's not
about to
yours.
say-
That's not
Bro, I was
yours.
about to say.
No,
it.
you was not. No,
He said
no,
Chris, and I said
you're gonna say
Jenkins.
Chris
We said at the
Jenkins.
same time.
I'll let you have it. You're a Villanova guy.
I'm a Villanova.
Jay Wright's
Cam
gone.
Whitmore.
Yeah. You
Ah,
don't
there
even-
it is. Hey.
Cam Whitmore. Dante DiVincenzo is one of my guys. I got George Niang over here. 3 years, 26 mil,
That was smooth.
8 mil a year for a player like him. I think, he's going to shoot 40% from 3. It's a steal of a contract. And my honorable mentions, I didn't have them in my list because some of these are obvious. And that's the reason why. Russell Westbrook to the Clippers,
Definitely.
getting
Great
him
deal.
for 4 mil a year. I mean, it was the steal of free agency.
Making 40 last year.
Corey Joseph to the Warriors, I really do. I think that he averaged 10 drives per game, shoots 38% from
You
3.
just needed somebody ready in case both dudes go down, man.
Warriors needed another ball handler off the bench, and that's probably going to be Chris Paul alongside Corey Joseph. I'm not sure yet, but Corey Joseph, I think, is a good player. That's a good signing. Sasha Vezenkov to the Kings.
There we go.
EuroLeague MVP.
There we go.
Is fantastic without the ball in a motion offense like the Kings. I'm thinking, man, Sasha Vezenkov is going to be amazing for the Kings.
So
Yo,
the
you're
agendas
sick,
going into
bro.
next year are going to be Bates Diop and Sasha Vetenkov.
Bates Diop for sure. Vezenkov, I got to see if he's in the rotation because
Okay.
they just got Chris
I
Duarte.
mean, he's getting 20 mil.
Chris-
I hope he plays.
Chris Duarte was a dog with Sabonis.
Yes, Chris Duarte, when he played alongside Sabonis, was amazing. And Chris Duarte is another slept-on pickup that could age like fine wine
Joel,
as
let
well.
me ask you a question, bro. What's your opinion on us having allegations of us using too strong words to describe things?
I guess it's fair.
I think it's very fair.
Like what?
Like he just said that he was amazing.
Oh,
like-
like amazing
it's
garbage.
just, you know
yeah,
what?
type stuff.
I love talking like that. Sometimes you just
Vezenkov
get
is
passionate.
Vezenkov is amazing without the ball.
Uh-huh.
Like that's what he does. He doesn't dribble much. He just shoots. He's a sniper.
Do you have any more underrated guys?
Hey, look, this guy. He saw one Vezenkov game and is
We
like,
watched
he's
it
not
together.
that
He
good.
was fucking mid.
We watched it together.
Is that on
Vezenkov
playback?
was good.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
a playoff
But guess
game.
what? Riv did not watch the final.
I didn't.
I
You're
watched
right.
the final versus Real
You did.
Madrid. Vezenkov had 29
Shocker.
points.
When I watched, he was mid. When I didn't
Oh,
watch,
Then
he
Real-
was amazing.
somebody on Real Madrid, I think I forgot the name, but he's a EuroLeague point guard legend. He hit the game winner and then
Damn.
they lost. But yeah, Vezenkov.
What's the efficiency?
Vezenkov over 50%.
Calm.
Yeah, he shoots like 40% from 3, bro. He's a sniper. He's a really
He
good
doesn't
player.
take bad shots. He was just
Smart
very
player.
Yeah, he's very mid.
Do you have any more honorable mentions? I feel like I got to do my due diligence.
Dante Exum.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. My due diligence is
Talk
to
to
my
me.
Twinsky, Georges Niang, to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We talked about it all season long. They need wing depth. They go and they get Georgie's, someone that can also shoot the basketball. Georgie's definitely, for the contract they gave him, I believe it was a 3-year, $26 million deal. Amazing deal for them.
The only way
Yeah, I just did
Sasha
it again. Amazing deal. Yeah, it's a really good one.
the only way Sasha won't be good, and it's high likelihood, is because he can't move laterally with NBA athletes because the agility is slow.
How old is Sasha?
He's 27 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been in the EuroLeague for a while,
Not
and
my cup of tea.
he's been able to
Too old.
He should retire.
Yeah.
He's been able to come to the NBA for a while, but he's always declined it. But this year, he saw what the Kings were doing.
So
Mike
20
Brown.
mil.
Mike
Wonder why
Brown.
they do that.
Mike Brown went to a couple games out there, and they recruited him, and he went to the Kings. And it's not about the money because Sasha Vezenkov could have came to the NBA a long time ago with money on the table. I think he just likes what the Kings are doing, and that's why I think he'll be pivotal for
20
what they
mil
do
was
next
on
year.
the table though before.
Bro, you got another cookie in there?
You're cooked, buddy.
Had your chance.
I did offer.
You're dying. You did.
When you're living overseas, it's more about the money. It's less about the money.
About the culture.
Yeah.
Okay, I respect
It's-
that for those guys, like not us.
Sasha,
Americans
taking the money.
not us,
Yeah.
but those guys, they love staying in Europe. That's why a lot of those European guys don't really transfer over,
It took
even when they have success.
Waiting for Jan Mater.
Atlanta Bogey. It took him a minute to come over here.
Like Nikola Mirotic was
He
was
dipped.
good.
He dipped. He
Go
said,
ahead.
I'm out of here.
It took him a minute to come over here
Yeah.
first. Took him some
Yeah,
time.
Nikola Mirotic was good in the NBA.
Nah,
At least a
good.
good role
I
player.
loved him in Chicago, man.
And he just said, "Listen, I'm not happy playing in the NBA. I want to go to
Mirotic played on the
Europe."
Bucks too. I'm bugging.
I don't know.
He
No,
did.
Pels.
Yeah,
He did.
facts.
Was it the Pels?
It was the Bucks.
He played on the Bucks last, I believe.
Oh, he played with us. He was amazing. I loved him.
I
Boy
used to
had
have
the
him on the
stroker.
Pels to play. He played on Pelicans for 2 years.
Yeah, bro had the super soaker.
Wow.
Hey, he was nuts, bro.
He
I'm
was
not
wet.
gonna-
Wait, the what?
It's the super
Wait,
soaker.
super stroker?
Both.
Or, okay.
It doesn't really matter. His jumper was on the
Yeah,
money.
no, he
It-
was
He
fire.
aimed well and he got it in every time.
We haven't done this in a while. This week in the NBA,
Holy
man.
fuck. This is easy. This week in the NBA, the Houston Rockets signed Dylan Brooks to a 4-year, $80 million contract. I'm
Still.
pissing. I'm pissing.
Now listen. This shit's funny to me. The first day as a
Austin
Rockets fan.
Reeves was cheaper than fucking Dylan
Significantly.
Brooks.
First day as a Rockets fan, it's the shit I see. Jock Londale gets
32 mil.
Bro, the Rockets went on an all-time
8 mil,
shitter.
only 8 mil is guaranteed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it's like a 1-year deal.
I see what Ime is trying to do. My only problem with these moves is where is there going to be room for the young guys? I feel like I understand. Apparently, they was in the Brook Lopez deal, and then he backed out of it late.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to spend the money. And I understand now they have the new. You have to spend 90% of your money. Blah blah blah. I just feel like you could have got cheaper guys, more guys.
But doesn't more guys impact the development more because there's more people?
But then they don't take minutes. You're going to start Dylan Brooks.
and Fred.
You're going to start Fred. You're not paying them $60 million combined. I mean, if you do to come to the bench, God bless you. But I think Dylan Brooks for sure is going to start.
At small forward, he'll start.
Yeah, and I think you could have got maybe somebody cheap. I don't know, but maybe the deals could have been on 1+1. Like I like how Fred. I wish Fred was 1+1, but 2+1 seems okay for right now. But Dylan Brooks is 4 years.
It's
$80 million. That's a
big.
long
It's a
time.
big contract.
I mean, if Ime could fix him, God bless to him.
The lineup I'm assuming it's going to be is Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green,
Payne.
Dylan Brooks, Jabari, Sengun off the bench. Yes, I agree. This is Payne. Amen
This is
coming
so
off the
much
bench.
Payne.
He probably
That's not what I came here for.
he's going to be what, the sixth man?
He should be.
Make KPJ.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You got KPJ, also
So you didn't need
Tariq,
another
and
point guard. I
and
didn't come here for this
Whitmore.
shit, man.
They wanted Brooke too.
Yeah, they
Brook
did. They
Lopez
wanted
was
Brook
another
back.
name they wanted, and they blindsided him for Source.
Rockets are done being garbage.
Maybe
But
should
they're gonna
be-
continue to
they
be
needed
garbage.
they needed grown-ups. Like Ime
Yeah.
said in his press conference when he first got there, says, "I need grown-ups. I need mature
And
players."
Dylan
'cause
Brooks was the guy.
He was taking shots at Jalen.
It was straight 20-year-olds and 21 and 22.
I think they'll be a little
You
bit
saw that
competitive this
video
year.
of Jalen?
It's
I'm
crazy.
going to
I've
ignore
seen
it.
multiple. Of
I've seen it, and I'm just going to stick to basketball.
It happens.
He was humping other men.
So what? You don't have a vid
There's
out there
nothing
like
wrong
that,
with
Riff?
that.
Huh?
Nothing wrong with that.
I
in
don't.
2023.
Actually,
You don't have a vid fucking around with your boys?
No, not that.
I literally said the exact same thing. I said, bro, you're with boys. You
You
did
could-
some
you
dumb
could do
shit.
way
Like, it is
worse
what it
stuff
is.
than
I
that.
can, but you would never catch it on vid.
That's exactly what my dad said.
Has that ever happened to you on video?
I would never tell you.
Has that ever happened off video?
I would never tell
We're
you.
gonna catch you one day.
I would-
We're in Vegas.
This is the
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
You
it's
should
over.
never let that
No,
come
you
out.
should
You
never.
can
You
never
should
let
never.
that come out, bro. And he dates a baddie too, so I know she probably looked at him like, "Babe, what's this?" And he just like,
He's just laughing.
he probably was like, "Chill."
Exactly. What do you do
Bro,
at
all
that
the
point? other
crazy
than
jokes
laugh?
we say around each other, you can't.
Yeah.
God forbid, give your boy a little hump.
Now, that
Like
little?
that's
That
where
was
we,
a
that's
little.
where we draw the
Boy,
line.
he was destroying.
Nah,
them.
he was violating. He
What do
was
you mean a
violating.
little.
He was
He
like
was destroying.
there was some aggression in there. No,
Yeah,
no, no.
He was getting
He was going
He
nuts.
was bucking.
Is that the reason they traded Josh Christopher?
He's been in conversations allegedly.
I would
That's
hope
what I've
not.
seen.
I would hope that would be crazy. He did. They
Wait, he officially got traded, Josh Christopher?
Yeah,
They had a-
they made those moves because they thought Brooke was coming.
They had a screenshot of Josh begging the guy to
Wow.
take it
Tie-tie
off.
too.
Yeah, he wouldn't take
Wow.
it off. Yeah.
And that sucks.
Wait, what? Oh, got it. The Grizzlies got him.
Jalen Green looked like he liked it way too much.
He's fucking around with the boys, you know.
This is what it is, man. 2023.
He was sober.
Does it? I feel like it's almost worse if it's drunk
Nah.
because it's like your true. You know what I mean?
Let's
Like,
just move on. Let's
Nah.
just do us the favor.
I feel like sober mind doing that.
Nah,
is a
I
little
feel like
crazy.
drunk is like deep down. This is what you want to do. Sober, like I'm just fucking around.
Nah, I feel like deep down, no sober. You're not sober. You're fucking around for sure. Like when you're drunk, you're for sure. Everything is jokes, vibes, fucking around.
I know.
He's
I know
sober.
how you get when you're drunk.
Nah, I've
Yeah.
got to say, bro, there's some people that get drunk. And
Yeah,
that's
but he
when
was
their true selves
sober,
Come out.
and his thought process was logical. He was very up. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna hump him. This is the one right here. Like that was sober. Drunk, you just like you just come on.
Oh my god.
My this week in the NBA, I have to shed light to what the Indiana Pacers have done, man. The Indiana Pacers signing Bruce Brown, 2-year deal, player option on the team option on the second, so it's really a 1-year
Great
deal
deal.
for $20 million. Bruce Brown is one of those players, man.
Shout out to Bruce.
He's one of those heart and soul players that you need on the roster if you're trying to change a culture. And I think he's going to do just that for the Indiana Pacers. But not only getting Bruce Brown, trading 2 second-round picks for Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, I'm a big fan of Obi Toppin. I remember his rookie year, I bought his shirt that said Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was dressed in Jedi gear. He was somebody that never got a fair share in New York because when he was drafted, Randall was coming off an abysmal season. He was supposed to be the replacement for Randall. And then Julius Randle shocked everybody and had an all-NBA season. And ever since then, Obi Toppin was never able to get consistent minutes. Tom Thibodeau the styles clashed. But in Indiana, high-paced offense, transition buckets.
For sure.
Obi Toppin's going to thrive. And he's somebody that as a starter, in the limited games he has played as a starter, he's averaged 20 points. He's averaged 8 rebounds. He shot 6-7% true shooting. Per 36 every year, he's around 17 and 8.
Per 36,
17
man. Be
and 10.
careful.
Per 36,
Be careful.
When players play like 20 minutes, I think it's
valid.
Remember
valid.
when I was bringing up the per 36?
I was doing that for like a
THC?
player that like played like
THC.
10
You
minutes.
got me screaming.
Yo, his per 36 were crazy. What do you want me to say?
And even in the playoffs, when Julius Randle was not on the court and Obi Toppin was, he had a positive plus minus. Obi Toppin made a great impact in the playoffs, even though the efficiency wasn't all that. Obi Toppin for the Pacers, I think he's going to start at the 4. I think it's going to be Tyrese, Mathurin, Hield, Walker, and Turner. Obi and Turner. Maybe I can see Bruce Brown starting, but I think he's going to be the lead guard off the bench. I think Obi's going to be an MIP candidate next year. And I look at the Pacers bench, they're like legit 15 deep, man. TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Smith is good. I like Isaiah Jackson a lot. He's showed a lot of flashes as a defender. Ben Shepherd is somebody that they drafted who I think is going to be a good shooter.
Ratchet.
Aaron Nesmith, he played all right for the Pacers. Not a solidified role, but he played all right for them last year.
Buzzer beater against us. I was sad.
And Jarris Walker potentially off the bench.
Man,
Their team is deep. I think they're going to make the playoffs next year, and they're going to be an exciting and fun team to watch.
Don't be
Standings, where are
shocked,
they?
man.
What seed?
Don't be shocked if Jarris Walker outworks Obi in
I'm
practice. That's all I'm gonna
literally
say.
about to ask
That's
this.
all I'm gonna say.
Is Obi going to be
I don't
the
think that
primary
spot's
focus
secured for
over?
him.
No, can't be.
I don't think it's secure, and I don't think starting the spot should be secured for anybody outside of star players. I think you got to earn it. But I think Obi Toppin is motivated and he's ready to earn that type of spot. I do.
Do you think the beef with Tibbs that came out, the yelling match they had or whatever, had anything to do with this? Because you're drafted him 8th overall and really never gave him a chance.
But Knicks fans notice that Tom Thibodeau just wasn't a big fan of Obi Toppin. He just wasn't. There were times where Obi was playing great in games, and it made sense. It made sense to keep him in games, and Tom Thibodeau would pull him out. There were times when small ball lineups would work between Randall and Obi, and Tibbs wouldn't experiment further and keep him in the game. Thibodeau always wanted a traditional big man in there, whether it's Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein. And because you're not going to take Randall's minutes, it really limited what Obi can do. I think this was good for both sides. Now Obi can thrive and flourish somewhere else, but he was the 8th overall pick for a reason. He was amazing at Dayton, and that is still there. Like that, he can be a really good and serviceable player in the NBA, and I think he's going to do that in Indiana. Jarris Walker, I'm a big fan of, and no doubt. Benedict Mathurin last year was averaging 20 points per game and was still sitting on the bench for the Pacers, being their 6th man. Jarris Walker could very well start, but right now I'm leaning Obi, and I think Obi's going to have an MIP type season.
I like it. My this week in the NBA, I've seen a lot of guys get big money extensions. Reese, like we just talked about. You had Desmond Bain sign a $200 million contract. Anthony Edwards just got a $250 million contract. Jaylen Brown hasn't signed. Don't know what's going on. It could be a plethora of things. One, he's in Europe doing some fashion stuff, but if I had $300 million waiting for me, I'm calling my agent and say, sign that shit right now.
I would have signed it months ago.
I don't know if Brad is, thinking of different ways to improve the team, including Jaylen Brown in trade. We know last year with Kevin Durant, he got brought up. Or maybe they're negotiating and the Celtics are not trying to pay him $295 million. Maybe they're trying to get him around the 250, 260 mark like Anthony Edwards just did. But I do think it's something, at least at this moment, that we've seen all these other guys get signed and Jaylen Brown hasn't.
This guy's playing fucking footsies with me, man.
He was rubbing my knee. I asked for it.
Allegations is crazy. This week in the NBA, man, I'm gonna talk about my Detroit Pistons. They have made
Pistons for sure.
Huh? What'd you say just now? Okay. Our Pistons made some solid moves, just moves to bring in some good spaces, man. Joe Harris, 42% three-point shooter. Bogdanovic is still there, 45% three-point shooter. Alec Burke, they brought him back. He was a 40% three-point shooter off the catch and shoot. And they brought in Monte Morris, 38% from the three-point line. So they brought in some vets that could shoot, space the floor, and you need that with a team like Ivy, who puts pressure on the rim, with a guy like Cade, who hasn't shown a consistent three-ball yet, but shown he can hit the mid-range jumper, and Asar, who's the guy who puts extreme pressure on the rim with Duran. You need guys that can space the floor. You need a multitude of lineups that you can put in. Joe Harris, 6'6", Bogdanovic, 6'8". You got Monte Morris, who can be the point guard off the bench. So I like what Detroit is doing in this free agency, just bringing in Asar and then bringing in guys off trades with Joe Harris and Monte Morris, just veterans that could complement this roster. Nothing too crazy.
Chet had 15, 9, and 4 blocks.
Please don't tell me I got to watch the highlights, man.
I love what the Pistons have done, and I think that, we'll see if they take a leap next season.
I hope so.
Between them and the Magic, I think those are the prime candidates for teams that were bottom dwellers in the East to take a leap next year. We talked about the Suns a lot.
Unfortunately.
And we know the Suns are contenders, no doubt. We all believe that here on this table. But should we start grouping the Dallas Mavericks into that conversation?
Fuck no. Move on. What are we doing with this? I saw this shit and I almost threw the fuck up.
Here we go. That's what started.
You don't think the Mavericks can be a team in the West to look out for?
You said the Mavericks or the Suns. I'm sorry. I saw this and I got a stomach ache. No.
The team in the Mavericks that just beat the Suns in the playoffs.
The team in the Mavericks that didn't just make the playoffs.
They actually didn't just beat the Suns.
Bro, I'm being completely transparent. I saw this shit and I baby barfed. This shit is crazy to me. The Suns clear. It's not even a conversation. It's a clearing.
Yeah. You've been trying to pump up the Mavericks.
I didn't say anything on purpose. I kept it very quiet until right now. This was fucking nuts. This is nuts. Are the Mavs going to be top 3 team in the West?
You literally
I wouldn't be
submitted
surprised if they don't. I wouldn't.
No. Maybe some regular season merchants, but they're not going to the WCS.
You just admitted Denver, the Lakers, and the Suns are the top 3.
I think those are my top 3, but would I be surprised if Dallas finishes there? No, I wouldn't. I
would
would not.
I'd be fucking stunned.
What game-changing move did the Mavericks
I'll get the
make?
Dallas Mavericks tat on my fucking bicep if they're top 3.
I want to be a little respectful. I want to ask you a question. The Kings finished, 3 in the West? I don't think you still had them as a top 3 seed in the West. No. So I don't think seeding matters. I don't know why you keep bringing it up. Do you have the Dallas Mavericks as a top 3 seed in the West? Yes or no?
Do I have the Dallas Mavericks as a
Why are you repeating the question?
I think the Dallas Mavericks can contend in the West. I do. Regardless of whether they're a top 3, top 4, top 5 seed, I think they can contend in the Western Conference. They can make it out the West. Yes, they can.
Okay,
they can make it out the West.
Oh my God.
Yes, they can.
Joel,
yes, they can.
Joel, the amount of question marks or the amount of arguments we've gone back and forth about Kyrie Irving post LeBron and all, I like the moves they made. Derek Lively could get played off the court or not be ready his rookie year. Seth Curry, you cannot play him with Luka and Kyrie. You're going to have to stagger those minutes because he cannot defend. The moves they made are not moves that are going to take them over the hump.
This is where you're wrong.
Reggie Bullock. That's the one.
When the Mavericks made the conference finals, you didn't think they was going to make it. You didn't think they was going to make it. You didn't think they was going to make it.
And they lost in 5.
Only person I thought was going to make it was here. It was me. I thought they was going to make the
conference finals. The Fronts.
I picked them over the Suns in that series. I did that. When you have Luka Doncic on your team, you can do
They were
the
just
11th seed.
You can do anything.
You can
He was
do
first
anything.
team
You
All
can go to
NBA.
WCF, you can be the 11th seed.
They were the 11th seed.
No, they were dog shit.
He's unbelievable at basketball. Luka is one of the best players we'll probably ever see in our lives. They were the 11th seed, Joel.
I think here's where you're wrong, Drew.
He's not
No,
wrong.
there's nothing wrong about being the 11th
11th
seed. There's
seed.
not a thing wrong. Not a
I
single
think
thing
your
wrong.
disdain for the Mavericks and your bias for the Mavericks is
How?
showing.
I'm
It
not
is.
being
It's as simple as
biased.
that.
Bro, you're relying on hella rookies, hella new additions.
No, it's not hella new additions.
No.
Literally one.
And it's guys who can't defend.
They pretty much have almost the same roster except they added rookies.
Their
and one
offense
player.
is going to be mad good. Their defense is going to continue to be ass.
When it
You
comes,
you were telling me that Jason Kidd is a fraud head coach.
when it comes to the Mavericks and their trade they made for Kyrie Irving in midseason, and Kyrie Irving elaborated on it. When you jump into a new situation, when you have a defense as complex as Jason Kidd's, where you have to call out rotations and you have to understand certain rules on defense, because every defensive coach, every defensive team, every defensive scheme has certain rules you have to follow. Kyrie Irving mentioned it and he elaborated on it, that it was tough being put into a situation, understanding the schemes and the concepts and how the defense was supposed to be played. Having a full training camp with Jason Kidd, this team having a full training camp, Maxi Kleber being healthy for the entire season, I think that the Mavericks are going to take a leap defensively. Jason Kidd, with not much more than what this roster currently has, 2 years ago when they made the conference finals, they were a top 10 defense.
I agree with you. I'm not talking negatively on Kidd. I'm just going off what you told me.
Hey, question.
Jason Kidd, his fourth quarter.
I'm sorry, Riv.
His fourth quarters can be questioned all you want, because listen, last year Jason Kidd did not manage the game well.
So, I'm also remiss. He said he could beat Denver.
I just want a quick question, because you said Kyrie Irving came out and he said, coming in late in the season takes time to calling out defense. That seems really simple, but whatever. They have pretty much the same roster before, like outside of Dorian Finney, the guys they traded for Kyrie, they pretty much have the same roster. So the same guys that were there knew Jason Kidd's scheme outside of Kyrie Irving. They weren't good defensively. If Kyrie Irving figure out that scheme, that doesn't mean that they're going to upgrade defensively. You're still relying on rookies in Lively and Prosper to build that defense up, because these same guys the Kleber was out for a big part of the year, and he's a really good defender. So that's somebody I can't dismiss. But I don't think this team is going to give you top 5, top 7 defense like they did that year. I just don't think that's going to be possible.
With an offense as potent as they're going to be, when Kyrie got traded to the Mavericks, they were a top 3 offense. I think they could have been even pushing the Kings for the first spot. You don't have to have a top 5 defense. You can be good if you're just league average. The Kings made the playoffs and were the 3rd seed with.
They lost in the first round.
Yeah, but it was a 7-game series.
Yeah, but you said they can come out the West. They cannot come out the West with a bottom 15 defense.
Come out the West was one of the craziest things
with the Dallas Mavericks.
No,
listen, I'm very high on the Mavericks. I am, and I don't think that Omax is somebody you're going to rely on year one. I don't. Derek Lively is probably more likely you're going to rely on.
Relying on the same guys in Powell, Kleber, and Rashawn
Holmes.
But this is the thing though. Luka, Kyrie, Seth Curry, Jaden Hardy off the bench. That's great offensive firepower. Sure. Josh Green is a great defender, great slasher. Maxi Kleber, they really missed him last year defensively, and he's somebody who just plays basketball the right way. Rashawn Holmes, either him or Dwight Powell starts. I think Rashawn Holmes is very limited defensively, so I would start Dwight Powell still, and in hopes that Derek Lively does develop. But I think that this roster right now is more built, is more well put together than last year, and I don't think the Mavericks are done. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is most likely going to get dealt, so they free up a starting spot for one of those guys like Josh Green or Kleber, and they're going to get a pretty good player in return for Tim Hardaway Jr. because he is a good role player.
He is a good role player.
So I think that the Mavericks are not done, and yes, it may sound crazy, but when you have a guy in Luka Doncic who is a top 4 player in the world,
he's amazing.
And then you have Kyrie Irving who, when he is locked in, he's a top 15 player. He could even push for top 10. This is the first time.
No, he's not, dude.
Dog,
Kyrie's not pushing for top 10.
Kyrie, come on. Pushing for top 10.
Stop.
When he's locked in and there's no drama behind him.
He's locked in. He's still not a top 10 player.
How much shit did you talk about Kyrie post LeBron?
Listen. He's probably not top 10. However, let's not completely dog it. Let's not
dog
into that because Kyrie Irving, 50, 40, 90, he's unbelievable.
It's still whether you want to argue 10 or he's 13 or whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
He's capable of playing at that level.
Agreed.
This is why I like what the Mavericks are doing. This is the first time Kyrie Irving since Cleveland has actually been committed to something.
That's not true.
Yeah, for now.
He was committed to the Nets.
He was committed for Boston.
He was committed to Boston.
Yeah, this guy.
Boston was 2 seasons.
I'm not trying to shit talk Kyrie. This
like Kyrie Boston, said, I will resign.
Boston,
said, I love it here.
Yeah, and he didn't resign. With the Nets, there was drama the entire time. The first year he was with the Nets, KD was injured the entire year. Then he got injured, so it was kind of a wash season. The second year, they had their best chance and they got hurt. Their third year, the whole COVID thing happened. And then this past year, he just wanted to get paid, so he requested a trade. With the Nets, I mean, you're lying if you think that they were ever really locked in. They weren't. And it's just the unfortunate truth of what happened, but they were never locked in. this is the first time really since Cleveland where it feels like the roster makes sense and people are not pouting about their lack of touches or roles. Because with Boston the second year, it all fell apart because half of the roster was on 1-year deals and everybody wanted to score 20 points per game. That's why it didn't work. With this roster, he has a defined role. It's playing behind Luka. It's being that second scoring punch. It's being the closer on some nights. And him re-signing on a team-friendly deal, I think, shows a lot about his commitment to Dallas. And that's something that we haven't seen from Kyrie. Be truly committed to a team and there's no drama. We don't know what can happen in regular season. Something can happen, right? Some drama. But as of right now, I feel like this is the best situation Kyrie has been in from just a mental standpoint, being with Dallas right now. And I think if you get that type of Kyrie Irving with this Luka Doncic, they can do a lot. They can make a lot of noise. And they can surprise a lot of people.
And Kyrie got this deal because this was his only option. There weren't teams out there going to be giving him 4 or 5 year deals. Like, well, I guess not all teams could give you 5 years. That was just Dallas. But there weren't teams out there that were offering the 4-year max. This was the best deal available.
He just left Brooklyn.
Yeah. And just because he signed this doesn't mean he's going to be committed. We should know that for a fact. Kyrie's changing his mind in an instant.
I think we all like. I think for me personally, I'm going to speak for myself. I think Dallas is going to be a good team this year.
They should be better than 11 seed.
I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they've made some good moves, but I think offensively they're going to be great. But defensively is the issue that I stand, because even Tim Hardaway Jr. is an okay player, but what are you going to get back from him? I don't know. You're probably going to have to attach a pick or two or something like that. But defensively, that front court, you're still going to rely a lot on those rookies. You're going to rely a lot on Rashawn Holmes, Dwight Powell. On the wings, you're going to rely a lot on Reggie Bullock. And even if Kyrie is quote-unquote locked in, yeah, him too. Even if Kyrie is quote-unquote locked in, that's still a small backcourt. Sometimes you're going to have to play Kyrie and Seth at the same time. Luka and Kyrie are going to be an amazing duo. Nobody's denying that. I think they'll be a great team in the regular season. But I don't know if I can go that far, because even then, whether they're a bottom 50, they're going to get to the playoffs, but you need to be a great defense to get to that finals. The Denver Nuggets were a great defense
in the playoffs.
The Lakers were a great defense in the playoffs. So they're gonna have to find a way. And I don't know if they have the personnel yet, or if if the young guys are just ready to do that yet.
The one thing the Dallas Mavericks are working with this year that they didn't have years previous is that they have assets now. You actually have players you drafted in the draft that can actually be commodities for other teams, and you can trade for a player that is really good. I feel like the Mavericks are, from my estimation, a legit big man away from being a true, real, legit threat in the West. If they can get, like, I'm just throwing this name out there, but if they can get a player of like Clint Capella's caliber at the center position, I'm looking at the Mavericks as a team that I'm looking at them seriously.
We're talking about moves that haven't happened.
And also the question on the topic list is, who is in a better position to succeed, the Mavericks or the Phoenix Suns?
Oh, I think the Suns are. There's no doubt.
I think we all think comfortably.
But I think the Mavericks are a team that cannot be overlooked, because the same way people can look at the Suns and say, well, the Suns got the star power, but the depth, I mean, y'all said it a lot. The Suns got the star power, but the depth, I mean, I can't trust any of these players. You can look at the Dallas Mavericks and say, well, I trust their 2 stars, and I trust a lot of their other role players more than I do the Suns, and that could push them over.
But none of these role players are like fucking out of this world.
Jaden Hardy, Josh Green.
Jaden Hardy hasn't played a playoff game ever.
Yeah. Tim Hardaway Jr.
Up
and Reggie Bullock,
Reggie Bullock,
Maxi Kleber.
Like Maxi Kleber's good.
These role players are hit or miss, though.
Reggie Bullock is for sure hit or miss.
Yeah, like these aren't fucking.
I don't think they're hit or miss when Reggie Bullock was one of the more important pieces in their WCF run.
2 years ago.
All right, let me ask you a question.
You was just raving about Paul George's WCF run.
Ask a question.
And that was 3 years ago.
I want to ask a question. The duo, KD versus Book versus Luka and Kyrie, who's better?
Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah, you lost me there.
Luka's better than KD.
Yeah, but Devin Booker
is comfortably.
Yeah, the defensive.
Listen, let's not do this, because Kyrie is amazing. He's so good. We've seen what Devin Booker has done in these postseasons the last 2 or 3 years. Let me not say
last postseasons.
Yo, yeah, rude.
No, it's because he brings this up all the time when we talk about Kyrie. How he doesn't
he's
show
the
up.
one that does this.
Yeah, but I'm not the
one that talks about how Kyrie's been the negative.
But this is where you guys.
The Mavericks were the 6th best defense rating, 6th best in the league. They were 15th offensively.
But this is where you guys are going to be misconstrued. I'm not over here saying Kyrie's going to be better than D-Book, and I'm not over here saying that The reason why I think the Mavericks will be as high as they will be is because I'm banking on Kyrie to be that type of guy. I think Luke is just that special. And I think Luke, after coming after a down season, I feel like he's somebody that wants something to prove. He's somebody that in a game 7 embarrassed Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. He's somebody that I think I would take Luka. This is just me. I would take Luka right now, just building around him right now over D-Book and KD.
I mean, because Kevin Durant's really old, so yeah, understandable.
Luka's better
so
than
if
KD
you, but if
Book.
you think so, then what's the point? If you think the Suns are in a better position to succeed, what's the point of the topic? Because you wanted to get praise to
respect
Dallas?
on the Mavs. Yeah, hell yes.
So why didn't you just make this a Dallas topic?
Think this. You can't put respect on the Mavs when we all say that the Suns are comfortably in a better position than them.
We think Dallas are a good team. We just don't think they're coming out the West.
Also, the way that you guys have talked about the Suns, maybe you were impressed by what Dallas did and you had a different opinion.
Seth Curry and Derek Lively did not move me enough.
What did Dallas do?
It did not move me enough.
No, this is the third time I've heard this.
They've made some great additions.
What did Dallas do that is sitting there saying to you, this is the one?
They drafted well. Yes, they're rookies. You put them in a separate category. They picked up Seth Curry. They re-signed Dwight Powell. They traded Davis Bertans for Rashawn Holmes. When these moves are you thinking this is the needle mover? They're pretty much bringing the same roster back, except they're adding 2 rookies and they're bringing in Seth Curry.
Seth Curry's a needle mover.
Okay.
He's a liability defensively, bro.
He's not. He's a
he averaged 16 for the Sixers when it was in the playoffs 2 years ago.
He's a liability defensively.
Versus the Hawks, he was actually the second best player.
He's
was
a
better than
liability defensively. It's Seth Curry, bro.
So was Malcolm Brogdon.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. So was Malcolm
What
Brogdon.
we were trying to trade his ass.
And he don't give Seth Curry shooting.
He shot 44%.
He's not the shooter Seth Curry.
Year.
Seth Curry has a top 5 people.
That was a bad example.
What are you talking about?
That was a bad example. Brogdon was one of the best shooters in the league last year.
And the Mavericks
was just the 6th man of the year.
And the Mavericks had the mid-level exception. Don't sleep on that.
Brogdon's better than Seth.
No, that's pretty easy.
No, that's like comfortable. But like, and then
back
to the point. Why didn't you just make this a full Dallas topic?
Bro, really,
and then just said, "Do you believe?"
I'm sorry. You guys are so low on the Suns. Maybe I was getting a different.
You could have easily said, made this a Dallas topic, and then started with, "I think they can go to the finals." Then we'd have been like, "All right, well, we don't think that." But you started it off. But you started it off by saying, "Oh, who has a better chance to succeed?" Well, obviously it's the Suns. You also think it's the Suns, but nobody threw disrespect until you said they can come out the West. That's when we're like, "All right, we don't agree with
Luka,
that."
you can do anything.
Well, he hasn't got to the finals.
11 seed. Treat him like he walks on water. You treat him like
a god among men. He has not made the finals. He just missed.
Talk about him.
And I like Luke. I think Luke is a dope ass dude. He's the 4th best player in the world to me.
What seed did the Lakers finish as the year before?
Does it matter?
Year before? You're saying when they got hurt in the playoffs? When AD got hurt in the playoffs?
Was that? There was a 6, 7, say 7.
Yeah, the Suns were 2.
The roster was bad. It was bad. No,
Russell Westbrook.
The year that we were 11.
Oh, they didn't make the
We were
playoffs.
11.
Oh,
we were not good. I was not here proclaiming we would be good the year after.
No,
I said we'd be the 8th.
No,
seed.
you started the year.
No, that's different. That's different.
Okay.
I said, I was
that's
wrong.
what he's doing.
No, that's an all-time
that's why
bad
he's bringing it
opinion.
up.
You definitely said they could be contenders in the West, even with Russ.
You did say.
No,
You said because as long as you got
65
LeBron and AD, you could do anything.
That's fair.
That's what you said.
But at the same
I don't know why
point,
he's bringing it up.
no. But I also went into the
Because you
season
can go
with
from
us.
the 11th seed to the WCF. It's happened.
What I did was I said prior to the season starting that we'd be that 8th seed, 7th, 8th seed.
But you know what's the difference between
He's
them?
saying 3.
You know what's the difference between them and y'all? I'm saying y'all like this your team. You know what's the difference between them and Dallas? They have made complete drastic moves to their roster.
Across the board.
The Dallas
deep.
Mavericks haven't done that.
Luka was playing hurt. He's going to be healthy next year, and he's getting into the best shape of his life.
It was just the first team.
God. It's summer
All
Instagram
NBA.
time.
I'm done. Getting angry.
And now
Next
gritting
time.
my
Here we
teeth.
go. Teams that make no
So
sense.
you just got to respect Luka.
I think
You're not respecting Luka.
We
See,
are.
And then you don't respect Luka.
Yo,
You don't respect
I like
Luka. This is what he does. 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 We disagree with him, and then he flips it to us not respecting
that's
them.
what
But we
I'm
know that we
supposing
said they're a
me.
good team. I think Dallas is a good ass team.
They're
I
gonna
think
be,
they'll
yes.
make the playoffs for sure.
They should win a
Do I think
playoff
they'll come out the
series.
West? I don't know.
They not dark horse
What
contenders.
do you mean? I don't know. The answer's fucking no.
I
The answer's
I'll be
no.
very surprised.
I'll wait till we get there, but I don't think so right now.
Right now, the
Dark
Nuggets
horse?
are comfortably better. The Suns are comfortably better, and the Lakers are comfortably better.
I don't know. The Lakers aren't comfortably better.
What the fuck?
They're not.
They have the star power in there
You're
way
done.
deeper.
You're
They're
done.
better defensively.
You're
They
done.
have
You're
Nobody
done.
can guard Luka on that team.
Nobody can guard LeBron.
Starting AD. No,
Who's guarding
who's guarding
Kyrie?
AD? Who?
You gonna put Reggie Bullock on LeBron?
Derek Lively. First day
First
on
day
the
on
job.
the-
Go guard AD.
Luka better than AD. It don't matter. Luka can outplay
Nobody's-
AD like
nobody's
easily in the
disagreeing with you.
playoffs. Luka's a playoff legend.
Legend is nuts.
He plays like it. Doesn't he
Please,
outplay like legends?
let's not get back into that. Let's not. Legend is nuts. He has one playoff series win. 2. Pardon me.
Listen, you want to be on the wrong side of history with the
I think
Mavericks?
Dallas
You
is
can do
good.
it.
No. This is the funny part about
Are they a
history.
playoff lock in the West?
Yes, for
Top
sure.
6 seed?
Yes.
Top 6 seed?
No, I don't even care about.
Drew's over here
See, that's I don't
rubbing
even.
his hands.
I don't even
Lock
care.
top 6. Do I think they make the playoffs? Yes.
Are
I
they a
don't
lock
even-
top 6?
I don't even care about the seeding. They're a locked playoff team. They will
Yes,
make it no
thank you,
matter
thank you,
what.
thank you, Rib.
They-
I
think
appreciate
they
that
will
out.
make
That's
it
what I'm saying
no
right
matter
there.
what.
That's
but
what
the
I'm
funny
saying.
part about your history is you have said history about Denver can probably go back. You said Phoenix could win it all, and now you're saying Dallas could come out. You can't be right in every single history.
It's a lot of contenders, bro.
Yeah, but you can't
a
pick
lot of
all of them to come out. And if one come out, you'd be like, well, yeah, I was right.
I didn't pick all of them to come out. I said they got a chance.
Everybody has a
Remember
chance.
last offseason when we was debating the East versus West, and I said, listen, the West
Yeah,
got like 7
And you
contenders.
named Minnesota, they did first round exit. You named Memphis. Well, I don't even know if you named
No,
Dallas.
I never
Named
named.
Dallas.
I
He
never
named Dallas.
I never
They ended
named
up-
Memphis.
Yeah, he named
Named
Dallas. They
Dallas.
ended up not making the playoffs. I don't know who else.
Those
he
are the
named.
only 2 teams I named that ain't making.
You named
far.
Phoenix, and then they lost in the second round. And then you picked them to go to the finals.
I named the
Clippers?
Nuggets.
You picked Denver to win. No, you picked
I
Denver.
picked the
You
Clippers. I
Phoenix
picked
to
the
beat
Warriors.
Denver. They did not beat Denver.
All right. So
You picked the Warriors.
everybody
The Warriors
picked
did not make
a
it.
lot of people. It was 50-50 between Phoenix and Denver. A lot of people.
You were pretty much wrong about 70% of your
But
contenders. and the
basically,
Lakers
what I
ended up
said
contenders.
is that the West was stacked. It was loaded. It's wide open. And I think once
wasn't
again,
wide open,
coming
though.
into the season, the West is going to be a wild, wild West. It's going to get funky. It is. And if you don't want to believe in the Dallas
No.
Mavericks, it's one of those teams that can dance.
There's a
And I don't know
clear
what you're
tier
talking
gap
about.
between the top 3 and the rest of the league.
No, you think
For the rest of the
regular,
conference.
listen, the regular season is the regular season. When it comes to the playoffs, we know who's the top dogs and who's going to make it in this, that, and the third, bro. Like, let's be serious. We all knew at one point when Kevin Durant got to Phoenix, we knew Phoenix, Denver, the Warriors, the Lakers were going to the second round. Maybe not the Lakers. We probably were hating on the Lakers, but we knew those 3 teams, Warriors,
bro.
Denver, and Phoenix, were going to the second round for a fact. Those are the teams we kept picking, and they did it. So as much as you want to say, oh, the West is wide open, it's the wild, wild West of the West. No, it's not, bro.
It is,
because
it is
we
the
knew
wild
for a
West.
fact who was going to the second round. You might not have because you picked the Kings, and I was wrong as shit. But
It's
we
a
knew who was
7-game
coming
series. A
Don't
7-game
matter.
series can go
And
either
y'all
way.
all picked Memphis.
up. That's why I just said that.
A 7-game series can always go either way. The Warriors won, but the Kings, I mean, they were right there. That's a respectable opponent.
This is
That was
funny.
the
Actually,
best.
you know what's
was
funny?
that not the best playoff series in the playoffs?
No, for sure. But you know
The
what's
Kings
funny
and
about these
Warriors?
7-game series? Both of his teams is in 7-game series. The Sixers and the
Oh.
Kings. But you know what happened in both of those 7-game series? Neither of his 2 guys came up to actually play. The best players in those series actually came up in rows. It was Tatum and Steph. Both of his teams lost to historical 7-game series performances.
Yeah, that
Literally,
hurts.
it's truly astonishing to me how you let 2 grown-ass men drop 50 points in a game 7 by themselves. It's insane to me.
How we get here?
I let it. What do you mean? I let it.
I
I had no
loved it,
control
though.
over that.
Should have locked in.
I mean, your opinion last year was the East was better than the West. That was false.
Okay.
That was false.
It's
not true. The West is more wide open than the East. It is.
No.
And there are more teams in the West that can make it out of the West.
Because the 8th seed in the East made the finals.
7th seed in the West made the WCF.
But
That
the
is
1
good
seed
opinion.
won it.
That's fair.
The 1 seed did win it, but that 8th seed in the
Interesting opinion.
that
I will tell you what.
Miami saved my life. Miami saved my life.
that 8th seed in Miami was a first seed last
You
year.
didn't, but you didn't believe
But
it. You can't bring it up.
regardless of how you shape it, though, the West was wide open in the East, and I think
That's
it's going
not
to
true
be
though,
this way
because the
again.
Knicks beat the Cavs. Nobody thought that.
I
The
did.
Heat.
You were wrong. I thought it.
Okay, you were the one of the few. You're a Knicks fan. Most Knicks fans thought it, but majority people thought the Cavs would beat the Knicks. That was wrong. Majority people thought the Heat would lose to the Bucks. That was wrong. Like it was probably a good amount of upsets in the East. Where in the West, it was kind of like, all right, we knew Denver was going to win. We knew the Lakers. Well, maybe not the Lakers. I keep saying that, but we knew once Kawhi went down, the Clippers were going to lose.
Yeah,
I think that with Denver, there's revisionist history going on because Denver was a slept-on team the entire playoffs.
But nobody thought they was losing to Minnesota.
Nobody thought they were losing in the first round, but after round 2, that's where things got dicey.
No.
There's a video.
Oh yeah.
There's a video that we did with Pierre that's on TikTok right now, and it's who's more likely to exit between Joel Embiid and Jokic, and everybody here said they both likely to get bounced in the second round. So let's not act like the Nuggets were just surefire away. They were going to make the finals. Nobody thought that. Revisionist history got people thinking that the Nuggets were always favored because they sweep through everybody.
We all knew they were going to go to the second round. Sure.
Yeah, but we ain't know they was going to the finals.
We ain't know the Heat was going to the finals.
I definitely didn't think that the Nuggets are going to go to the finals, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like
I mean, when you picked the Nuggets to beat the Suns.
Yeah, facts. That I did.
You just
like
didn't think it would be like
I just don't think that we can be like, oh, the West is not wide open because the Nuggets ran through it when before the playoffs started, we was looking at the West.
The West was wide open. There was a lot of
wide open.
No.
There's a lot of contenders.
No, but what I'm saying is the East was probably wide open also.
I'm just saying that the West has a ton of contenders. They do, and I think this upcoming season there's going to be a lot of parity.
They have a ton of contenders until you get to the second round. It's the same teams you see almost all the time, bro.
So the Nuggets are contenders, right?
Yes.
The Lakers are contenders.
Yes.
Will you count the Warriors next year as contenders?
They're like a dark horse.
That's fair.
Yeah.
They're like a dark horse. I'm a Warriors fan. I don't even consider us a top contender.
I wouldn't call them contenders, but him saying dark horse, I can live with.
But we know that this coming into these playoffs, we viewed them as that type of team that could make the finals.
I didn't.
The Clippers healthy are contenders. Those are
the same exact teams that we see all the time.
I didn't even mention the Suns yet. The Suns this year are going to be
The
contenders.
Suns are contenders.
That's 5 teams. If you have 5,
why are you counting the Warriors? They're not contenders.
To me, I think they are contenders. As long as you got Steph, you can be a contender.
They got smoked by us.
But it's Steph, Clay, and Draymond. As long as you got those 3, I think you can be a contender.
Is not Clay.
Clay is nuts. Please
but if you have 5 teams in the conference that have a chance to make it out, I think the conference is wide open. I do.
Okay.
I'm going to pass.
You saw what Dre said about CP3.
You saw what he said about Kuminga.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, fuck the other shit.
Yeah.
You saw what he said about Kuminga.
Yeah,
he's unlocked, and I cannot wait.
If Kuminga gets unlocked, contender.
No, it's shit up.
Okay.
Then we're really a contender.
Next topic.
Like you up.
DeAndre
Ayton. Oh my God.
You're nuts for that. If Kuminga gets unlocked, we're contenders. Yeah, you're nuts. We're back to contenders, but right now we're dark horse. We're chilling.
DeAndre Ayton was not a bust though before Chris Paul got there.
Yeah, and I don't know why he said that.
Yeah, because DeAndre Ayton was averaging 19 and 12 before Chris Paul got there.
No, he said he switched. He said he didn't look like a number 1 pick.
Oh, well, yeah.
He still doesn't look like a number 1 pick. And he never did with Chris Paul either. He just looked like a great center.
Well, Chris Paul did say he's getting paid.
Teams that make no sense.
Here we go.
Do we all collectively have
Chicago?
The Chicago Bulls.
I have the Chicago Bulls.
What about the Raptors?
The Raptors
fair.
are there.
That's fair.
I have both those.
Chicago
teams.
make no sense because they have 2 fringe top 30 players and they're mediocre at best.
And they're doubling down on these top 30 players by signing guys like Javon Carter.
I love when guys love to talk about my team.
The last thing, Riv, that's not fair because I fuck with the Bulls.
Oh yeah,
you know that.
Vooch, 3 years, $60 million. Kobe White re-signed him. He brought in Torrey Craig, but that was for a nothing contract.
Javon Carter,
3 for 20.
We made perfect moves for if we want to go into competitive standpoint.
But
the problem is. Okay. We don't know. No, not even we, because Bulls fans, we know what we want. Them dudes up at the top don't know what they want to do, and they've kind of stuck themselves in this position where they already paid Zach. You now re-signed Vooch. DeMar's contract is dwindling. I think his contract is up next year. So now you're kind of stuck with this big 3, and then Lonzo's injury doesn't make it any better. So you're kind of stuck with this team that you kind of just have to see it through. I think we'll be a competitive team in the East. I think we'll hang around in the play-in, maybe get a 6 seed. I doubt it, but at this point, we're stuck in the middle of pretty much mediocrity.
We don't talk about it enough how Lonzo's injury has strongly impacted the future of the Chicago Bulls. Since Lonzo's been gone, they really have not had that guard identity. They've been chasing it, praying that Kobe could do it. Now they bring in Javon, of course. Of course, Io is another player that they'd look to fill that void. But they never really had it. When Lonzo and Caruso were on the court, that was one of the best defensive backcourts in the NBA. Lonzo's gone out. They have failed to find that replacement. They've tried it this offseason again, like I just mentioned with Javon. That's why I believe that it was a great pickup because they needed that defense. But Zoe and him not being there has really changed how we view the Chicago Bulls. And you don't really in the moment think that he would be that huge of an impact. But really now in hindsight, we can really look at it and think Lonzo Ball really is that strong missing piece for the Chicago Bulls.
He was our third guy.
For sure. Bro, his efficiency was amazing. His defense was otherworldly. His injury really has set back the Bulls more than we give credit.
It's unfortunate, but you also can't double down on something that's unfortunate, right? Like,
You're
I feel like,
you
know what I mean? Like, the Lakers, you traded for Westbrook. You didn't double down by, trying to make the Westbrook thing work. No, you traded him and got pieces and you went WCF run. So, of course, the Lonzo injury is super unfortunate. I mean, he was obviously number 2 pick. He had all this potential. The injuries, who knows if he's ever going to play again. If he does, probably won't be the same player, unfortunately. But I can't just give the Bulls, their management front office, a pass because of the Lonzo injury, right? At this point, Lonzo is probably not going to play again. So you have to look at your core with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and figure out what's the best path going forward. The best path going forward is not to let, bless you, the DeMar contract expire, let Zach LaVine be the only guy here, and bring in these role players who are making decent money, nothing outrageous, but you're never going to be a contender in the East. You're not going to be able to get past the Bucks, the Celtics, even the Cavs. Like, you guys lost in the play-in, right? This isn't a team that's going to be champs. To the champs. Fine. This is not a team that's going to be ready to go and win a championship. So I would rather, I know you feel the same way, blow it up. Oh, yeah. We had the rumors a couple weeks ago about LaVine and possibly the Knicks. That seemed to fizzle out at this point. It seems like LaVine is locked in. DeMar, like you said, is on an expiring. It feels like he's going to stay on the team unless you guys really struggle in the regular season. You just sell. Now you're bringing in guys like Javon Carter, who great contract, re-signed Kobe White, and then paid Vooch $20 million a year. So you're doubling down this roster saying, we're going to keep trying to compete, when in reality, I don't see any pathway to competition.
I think Lonzo Ball was a perfect connector for what the Bulls wanted to do. Just somebody that was the ultimate transition passer and somebody that can help alleviate the pressure from DeMar and Zach because he can space the floor. And he's also somebody that's an elite defender. I do think that the Bulls, even with Lonzo, would have eventually fizzled out because I don't think the top-end talent was there to compete with other teams in the Eastern Conference.
They were amazing with Lonzo last season.
27 and 13.
They were an awesome team. There's no doubt.
Fun, for sure.
But that's what it really was. It was fun to watch them.
But I think that ultimately that Bulls team with Lonzo would have capped out. So what the Knicks currently are, kind of. The Knicks are a team that, you have Brunson, you have Randall, you have depth, and you have players that can play at an all-star level. But ultimately, you're not going to have that top-end talent to get over teams that are just better than you in the East. So the Knicks right now are facing that same dilemma where they're trying to get another star to pair up with this team. But right now, we're just kind of like building our roster out with players that fit the identity. And I think the Bulls are doing something similar because I do think that the Bulls, from a talent perspective, don't think that they're too far off from a team like the Knicks. I think that they think that they're pretty similar.
Yeah, but the goal shouldn't be the Knicks, should it?
I think the goal should be making the playoffs and being a playoff lock.
The Knicks are better than we give credit, dude.
No, for sure. But I just don't think as a front office to be like, I want our ceiling to be the Knicks.
You have to think though, like the Derrick Rose era, pain. It ended. We were in a playoff drought for about 6-7 years. So you just want to the process should always be rebuild, become consistent in the playoffs, then go for the championship. You know what I'm saying? Then become all right, these are the guys who we can get a championship with. For the Bulls, they kind of skipped steps, made heavy moves, drafted, traded for Vooch and whatnot. So now they're at this point, I think they just want to be that consistent playoff team. And you kind of have to see it through because you paid Zach. Now you have Vooch on a 3-year. Tomorrow you're going to see what you're going to do. So you kind of have to see what you're going to do with this roster. And I agree with you. I guess they think that they're not too far away from a championship, but in reality, you're probably the same tier as you're probably in the worst, the worst team in the tier of the Knicks, Hawks, Pace, whatever that shit is. You're probably in the worst, you're probably in that tier with the Raptors and shit like that. So it ain't you could have got a lot for Zach. Not nothing crazy, but you could have got a good amount for Zach.
Multiple ones.
Yeah. So it's but I guess, I don't know. I'm here for vibes.
Other teams that don't make sense.
Oh, the Toronto Raptors don't make sense. And I actually think the Toronto Raptors make less sense than the Chicago Bulls. These are the only two teams that don't make sense in the league to me. The honorable mentions are the Nets, but I give them leeway because they just traded 2 superstars. Mm-hmm. You're going to be in a funk period.
If they get Dame, okay, now you see it.
And with the Wizards, you just finally offloaded guys. Those are the honorable mentions, but the Toronto Raptors make no sense. Last year, every one of their key players was in trade talks all year. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam to a lesser degree. Even now, Pascal Siakam is still in trade talks. Gary Trent was in trade talks last year. Your entire roster basically has trades above their heads at all times, and they failed to pull the trigger on anybody. Fred VanVleet walked for nothing. I understand you didn't pay him now, but you could have definitely got something for him if you've traded him. They didn't decide to do that. OG Anunoby, the asking price for him is just absurd. OG Anunoby's an elite defender. He's a good spot-up shooter, but everything else offensively, he's average or below average. He cannot create off the dribble. He's not a good playmaker. He's a bad playmaker. And really, he can't create his own shot at all.
But it's okay. Can't. It's okay when you can space and you're an elite defender.
Yes.
But for the asking price, he's not Mikal Bridges.
He's kind of
Mikal Bridges can do way more than OG.
He's definitely a better shot creator.
Now,
not really.
Now,
even if he is,
you're right. A lot of his buckets were not on isolation.
Like, he's not this Mikal isn't this insane shot. Like, he's also another guy that is an off-ball merchant.
That's fine.
The difference.
That's fine.
Yeah, but I don't I think I don't want to go too deep into it, but the asking price for both of those guys have been a little bit too extended. Both of them are number 3, number 4s on championship teams, realistically.
The difference between Mikal and OG Anunoby is that Mikal Bridges knows how to navigate screens offensively way more than
of course.
OG Anunoby. He knows angles better. He knows how to cut better. He's a better ball handler than OG Anunoby. He does everything offensively better than OG. He does.
OG clears on defense, though.
I don't know if he clears.
Mikal
was just a DPOY candidate. He was top 3.
I was
going to say Marcus Smart was just the defensive player of the year, and he was nowhere near that.
Well, this past season, yeah, but I think that
Mikal's like really.
Yeah,
I think OG's
borderline still elite
clears
defender.
Strong. I think OG's a better defender than.
Yeah,
Mikal.
OG is a better defender now because Mikal is tasked with more offensively.
I just only interrupted because let's just respect OG. I get it. He's not this creator by any means, no way, but he's an elite ass defender. Can space the floor, can still get a bucket if you really needed to.
He can't get a bucket on his own.
I mean, bro, he averaged what?
Mikal
18?
barely can get a bucket. I was going
to say they're
own.
not.
Yes, he has been able to.
No,
he dropped 50 on Boston. Did he not drop 50 on y'all?
When the comeback one?
Yeah.
But again,
he was getting buckets on his own.
Didn't you read me the stat that you read me the stat when we were on Bleacher Report, if I'm not mistaken, that a lot of Mikal's buckets were
and
not him on isolation.
The film is going to be out on Mikal this year, so we'll have to see this year if he can really do it with more defensive attention towards him.
Isolation is not the only way you can create for yourself. You can create for yourself in pick and roll situations as a primary ball handler, and that's what Mikal was tasked with a lot when he got to Brooklyn, and he was a great creator in those situations. But he was a really good playmaker.
That's not
you can create for yourself when you're coming off the screens and you're dribbling, you're making a move to get to your spot.
Mikal was also the number 1 option in Brooklyn. OG's what? With last year?
Third at best.
Scotty? Is Scotty ahead of him?
Third at best.
Yeah.
It's like as a third, fourth option, he's averaging 17, 18 points.
I watched Mikal Bridges play, and I think there's a significant gap between him and OG as players.
I get it.
So I can
because
understand.
He's had the opportunity.
Not
saying that OG, if he had it, would be what Mikal did last year.
They're both not.
OG had an opportunity to break out with Toronto a couple years ago, and it just never happened.
What do we mean? When?
A couple years ago.
Yeah, like two years ago when their roster.
He broke out last year, technically speaking, defensively when he made himself an All-NBA defender.
As an offensive player, OG has had opportunities to take that next leap, and he just hasn't. And it's fine. Listen, the type of player OG is fine. But I don't want you to get misconstrued that the reason why OG is not Mikal Bridges is because of opportunity. Even if OG's in that situation, he's not that.
I think that Mikal's definitely a better basketball player, but it's not like Mikal Bridges is just so far away that OG is nowhere near him. That's where I don't.
Neither of them are number 1s or number 2s.
What's the gap between Desmond Bane and OG? You think it's significant?
No, this is hilarious. It's just two weird ass players.
Because I think Mikal is like Bane tier. I think he has put himself in that tier.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Not saying much too much.
The top 40 players,
maybe.
It's not a big
I think
gap.
I can get to 40.
So what's OG? Top 50?
OG is not on that tier, bro.
The thing is, we prop some of these defensive players up.
Bane's just got 260.
But again, it's not like
208.
If OG was averaging like 9 points
like
a game and he was just the defensive player that he was, I'm with you. He's averaging almost 20 a game.
How old is OG?
But it's not all about numbers. And OG Anunoby.
I hate when you do that to me too, because I will give facts on just not numbers. But again, we're just having conversations on numbers.
But
is
it a fact that OG is a below ball handler? Is it a fact?
Yes.
Is OG a below average ball handler? Yes. Is it a fact that he's a below average mid range shooter?
Yes.
Is it a fact
What
that
about
he's
a
an
three-point
average
shooter?
Okay, that's the one aspect of his game you're mentioning to me that's good offensively.
But again, 3-point shooting in now's NBA is essential.
But that's one aspect of an offensive game you're mentioning me with so many different facets.
But to be fair to OG, like in Mikal's offense, how much of that is he going to actually show on a championship level team? Like that self-creation. He's probably going to do what he's been doing in Phoenix or what OG does now.
Well, the difference is that Mikal Bridges with the Suns, you're right. He wasn't going to be able to showcase that. But now that he's shown what he can do in an elevated role, he's going to have that type of opportunity to showcase that.
Yeah.
Because what he did with the Nets was not some fluke. Like,
do you think Mikal's not a below average ball handler though?
No, I think he's I think he's at the middle line. Like he's good. Like he's definitely average.
Mikal did put up 26 when he was with Brooklyn.
Oh, he
averaging 26.
No, Mikal
mad.
And look at the
usage was there.
And look at the playoff numbers versus Philly, which was a top defense in the playoffs. It was there too.
They left Tobias Harris.
Like I'm just saying, OG Anunoby has a 3-point shot, but then everything after that, like ball handling, making reads, passing, mid-range shooting, finishing, that's all like bad. It's not good. And that's the thing. Like the points
around the basket, 60%. In the corner, 42. This is
Mikal's
OG.
EFG in the playoffs was 49.
Shot 40% from three.
Yeah,
mid-range is minimal attempts, to be honest with you.
Percentage.
True shooting out free throws. I'll do it.
That's efficient.
He only shot 78%.
His true shooting percentage this year was 58%.
In the playoffs, that is.
OG?
Yes.
That's a little above average.
So in the playoffs, Mikal's true shooting was 53. Ooh, that stinks.
That's below average. Average is like 56%.
His attempts in the mid-range are minimal. He does not take them. From the corner, he's elite.
Can't get there.
And finishing at the basket, 60%. He's not a bad finisher, clearly. League average, 58.7.
So do you think OG in a Mikal like role can do more things than what he's doing?
More than what he's doing right now? Sure.
So like 21 points.
Do I think that he could do what Mikal did last season with the Nets? I won't go that far. But yes, he can do more. Because again, he's the fourth, probably the third at best.
Yeah, third at best for sure.
It's like, let's not talk about OG like, I'm not saying you're talking about him like he's a bum. You're not doing that. But let's put some respect on his name. He's not a mid-range shooter. He's a good finisher. He's a really fucking good 3-point shooter.
If he can,
and he's an elite defender.
He needs to develop that handle.
Yes, agreed.
He's just a good player to me. That's it. He's just a good player.
That's what Mikal was.
No, but I think that's what Mikal was, but he's pushed himself to be a great one now.
And that's due to opportunity.
But with the skill set he had, because when he was in Phoenix, I saw what he was doing, and I knew with that opportunity would have been what he was.
Listen, I give you the credit because when he got traded,
I don't know if you could just.
I'll give you the credit because when he got traded, you believed. But there was a strong point in time where he's like, is Mikal going to be different than what he is right now? You said no very consistently. I will give you this. He got traded, you believed. But why? Because the opportunity.
That was before he got traded. I knew that he was going to go to Brooklyn.
Opportunity is a big thing.
Because this past year with the Suns, you saw the leap that Mikal took in every single facet of his game. That's something I've yet to see from OG, and I think they've been in the league for similar years now. I just think we're not going to see that out of OG. That's just what it is.
Yeah, OG.
And that's why I think the Raptors are a team that don't make sense, because OG is not this prized possession that they should keep on to for God knows how long.
Elite defenders on the perimeter are not just giving out.
OG's a dime in a dozen in terms of a lot of teams would be able to use him and utilize him for the championship window.
But I think 3 first-round picks is fine for OG. God damn it. 2 first-round picks, I'll give you OG for 2 first-round picks.
I think Brooklyn is kind of they're in like a 50-50 because like they have a solid roster, but until a star becomes available to properly utilize that roster, I think they'll just be stuck in mediocrity. I think, and if Dame isn't available, who's the next star? Embiid, maybe, but then unfortunately Clax is gone. I don't know. They're in a weird spot too. They have a lot of good players. They have a pretty perfect team for a star. And maybe like one more other star to come in there and just change the trajectory of the team. But they paid Cam, they paid Mikal, they have solid players there. But their direction is kind of like, all right, we can't really compete right now, but we're not bad enough to tank. So we're kind of in
the
this
worst
like,
spot to be.
yeah, we're kind of in this. Well, we're just gonna ride out this wave until the star becomes available.
Well, that's why the Nets make sense, because the Damian Lillard, he gets brought up and the Nets are right in the conversation. We don't hear anything about the Raptors being involved in that conversation. That's why they're stuck in this middleman, and they obviously don't want to let any of their guys go, or if they do, they're having an asking price that nobody's going to really accept, because, I mean, fucking what, they went 4 first rounds for OG, was it the report, right? Like,
The asking price this year was nuts.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Also, I would be much more critical of the Nets if they were 4 years out of trading KD and Kyrie, and they're still like this. It's been a while since Kawhi left Toronto, and the Raptors still seem to not have a definite direction.
Yeah. It's unfortunate too, because the year after Kawhi left, they were the 2nd seed. The year after that, COVID, they have no home games. Then the year after that, they're the 5th seed with essentially no bench. They thought that they could just add some players to the bench, and they ended up being unreliable. They ended up having no big. They go and they bring in Jakob Poeltl. I understood the thought process behind the moves. It just things haven't transpired the way that they were expecting, and how, let's say, Raptors fans were expecting. But I'm with you guys now for sure. In the grand scheme of things, you got to realize when it's time to phone it in. And right now, the Raptors have failed to do so.
Signed Dennis Schroeder to a 2-year, $26 million deal. It's the
so
Fred
fucking
replacement,
nuts.
and they signed Jalen
should've
McDaniels.
just played Malachi
He cost
Flynn.
them more than it cost us to bring Gabe Vincent, who was integral in a finals.
Once again, they're trying to retool.
Yeah, you can't retool. Like, you're replacing Fred with Schroeder.
I was gonna say, and Schroeder really
Spacing
has
is still.
They
Schroeder,
just need a top pick, because if the way Scotty's work ethic is looking right now,
Crying.
it's not looking like he's gonna be the guy. It's just not. He's
You
only
been in the gym with
streaming.
him?
He's only streaming, bro.
I don't know what he does all day. You know,
He's like 9
Whenever I'm on
o'clock.
my Twitter, it's a
Streaming.
video of Scotty Barnes streaming video games.
I'm gonna have to tune into them to see.
What he be talking about?
Yeah, for sure. Because if I'm gonna put my chips in his basket, you know what I mean.
Take him out.
I fear it's happening, but you know what? I gotta stay strong.
Ranking rebuilds, transitioning to now
Right.
teams that are not stuck in the middle. They have directions. I've classified these teams into 4 tiers. Now, the 4th tier is clearing house. It's okay. These teams have decided that it's time to rebuild, and they're just moving their pieces. That's the Blazers, that's the Jazz, and that's the Wizards. The 3rd tier is retooling teams that are not trying to go into rebuild, but they're retooling. I have the Bulls, Nets, and Raptors in this tier comfortably. Tier 2 is talented, but they're unproven. That's the Spurs, the Hornets, the Magic, the Pistons, and the Rockets. And tier 1 is rebuilding teams that are on the verge of breakouts. OKC Thunder, the Pelicans, the Pacers, and the Cavaliers.
Interesting.
This is so fucking hilarious because I read the topic as if we're talking about young cores.
That's what I did. And also the rankings you gave us was breakout, potential, mid, and clearing house.
Yeah, so
and
it just
you
gave
had
me the
completely different tiers than us.
Potential is talented,
so
and mid is retooling teams.
So I still
Mid and retooling,
Yeah,
I feel
it's
is
got
way
nuts.
It's the
different.
same- it's the
mid,
same
mid is just
thing.
like I had the Hornets at
So
mid.
I did
they're not
3
clearing house,
tiers,
they're on
and
potential.
I did the tier 1s of the young cores that are ready to compete, possibly ready to go far, and that's the Grizzlies, Minnesota, OKC, Cavs, or the Pels.
We count the Grizzlies as a rebuild still?
No, I was just doing young cores. That's why
Okay.
that's why I was confused, and that's why I asked for the age. I was like, "What's the age?" You said 24. So I was like, "All right, Ja, Bane, Jaren, they're like 22,
That makes
23."
sense.
Yeah, and then tier 2 is the teams that are ready to make a leap, or they're kind of in that stagnant middle ground of playoff teams. So the Hawks, Orlando, the Pacers. I threw the Spurs in there because I feel like their young players are ready to make another leap. They got Victor. And then the tier 3 guys are the more of the young teams that are still trying to figure it out, but have an insane amount of talent. So I got Portland in here. I got the Pistons, Charlotte, Rockets. I added the Wizards. I got the Warriors in here, and I got the Jazz.
Yeah, I did it differently. So I only have 8 teams on here. I basically have young teams who didn't make the playoffs last year. Like, I don't have like the Raptors in here. I don't have like the Bulls, even the Grizzlies, because they were just the fucking 2nd seed. I don't think they're rebuilding. So I have 4 tiers, the 4 tiers you gave us before you switched it. And breakout, I only have 1. I have the Thunder. Out of all of these, I think this is the only team that I feel confident is going to make the playoffs.
Do you have
next
Minnesota
year.
on yours?
No, I do not have Minnesota.
Okay.
Potential, this is where most of them are.
Well, they just had the number 1 over pick a couple of years ago. That's the only reason why I'm wondering.
Yeah, but
Minnesota.
Gobert,
Minnesota.
Cat.
And Jaden, Leonard Miller, Nas, they're all young.
That's why I say that.
They are, yeah.
I'll be forgetting.
They just had the number one overall pick. They were rebuilding.
I feel like they made that move for Gobert, and they're like, all right,
That's why
let's
I got
go.
him in tier
We're
one.
competing. That's why I feel like the rebuild is
Hold
not
on.
over,
Our
but
tiers are fucked
it's
up.
kind of years down the line.
But they went from the 6th seed to the 8th seed.
Our tiers are
Listen,
fucked
what you're
up.
saying is facts.
I
I'm
just
with you.
compared to these guys, like
Facts.
all of these teams
You're
are like
100%
still
correct.
rebuilding.
You're
They're still in the
100%
process. So
correct.
the potential ones I have are the Rockets, Pistons, Magic, Jazz, Blazers, Spurs. The Blazers are probably the only one I would take out of here. I think the rest of the teams, I wouldn't be shocked if they made a play-in. Some more unlikely than others. The mid one I have is only one. It's the Hornets because LaMelo is the only person on this team I look at as definitely here part of the future. I guess you got Mark Williams, Brandon Miller too. But I would be very surprised if they made a play-in.
Nick Smith just got drafted. James Najee. They're bringing back Miles Bridges. They got PJ
There's
Washington.
potential, man.
There's potential, but again, the potential teams were teams I would not be surprised if they made a play-in push. I'd be surprised if the Hornets were in the play-in next year.
Hornets. I'm not with that because LaMelo in his first 2 seasons playing. That's all I'm saying.
That's my tier 2. My tier because I have Hawks, Orlando, Pacers, Spurs. I think maybe not Spurs, but I think Hawks, Orlando.
How great is Wemby?
Yeah, Hawks, Orlando, Pacers should be pushing for the playoffs this year for sure.
Pistons?
No, I have them tier 3.
Oh, did you not just?
I know what happened to the hot take.
Not just
Riz.
push a minute ago.
The Cade picture scared the shit out of me. But now he's back.
Clearing house side, the Wizards and the Blazers, I guess, could be clearing house, but they're just moving on Dame. And the rest of their core is pretty set.
Oh man, I'm looking at breakouts. Joel, I'm with you. I think the Thunder are the lone team that you could have a breakout. Actually,
The Pelicans?
But that's one of those. I guess I didn't know if you counted the Pelicans.
BI's been playing for years.
No, I don't have BI. He hit the 25 threshold.
But again, I don't think the Pelicans. But if we're counting the Pelicans as a rebuild, then we have to count the Blazers or the Wolves.
My tier 1 is the young teams that are ready. So like the Pels, Zion, Murphy, Herb, Jose, Dyson, Jordan Hawkins.
I agree.
6 young players.
Yeah, they have a lot of young players.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. The Wolves also. Anthony,
I have the Wolves in here too.
Okay,
but how many players on the Wolves players? How many players on the Wolves rotation are actually young though?
Jaden McDaniels
and
Anthony Edwards. I mean, Naz Reid's how old?
Naz Reid's not a young core player no more. I don't think so.
No. I asked you the age. You said 24. He's
Naz Reid's
under
20. That's fucking
crazy. He's younger than us actually.
He turns 24 in August.
Yeah, that counts for sure.
He's young
because SGA turns 25 in a couple of days.
But that's Ant Edwards, McDaniels, Naz Reid.
Leonard
I feel
Miller.
like you trade 5 first for Gobert. You're not rebuilding anymore.
He's probably not going to play though. Like players that are in the Wolves rotation is like Gobert, Cat, Mike Conley.
Right. Am I asking? Is this young cores or is this ranking rebuilds?
Ranking
we
rebuilds
all did
is
it
the
differently.
title.
I'll be honest with you.
It says ranking rebuilds.
I think it's rebuilds. But
but the Wolves were clearly rebuilding.
So should I take the Cavs out?
Yeah, they're not rebuilding. They're ready to compete. They're trying to win a championship.
That's why I had them in tier 1.
The Pelicans are rebuilding. The reason why the Pelicans are rebuilding to be not the Wolves is because the Wolves have made the playoffs 2 years in a row now. The Pelicans have not.
Pelicans were a playing team last year.
I feel like the Wolves aren't rebuilding.
What was the thing? It was breakout.
It was breakout potential mid clearing.
Okay, so breakout could be Minnesota breaking out.
That's exactly what I was
thinking.
thinking.
The Cavs could be breaking out.
I feel like
I think the Cavs broke out last year.
The Cavs did it.
They got smoked out. They need to break out one more time.
They were top 4 seed.
All right, well,
I feel like if you trade 5 first for Mitchell or Gobert, it's saying, okay, we rebuilt it. Now let's go make the push.
That's why you don't think it's rebuild.
No, I think they're a step above.
I think the Wolves, because they were the number 1 overall pick not too long ago.
Mobley was just a number 2 pick. Not too long. Too long. DG, Mobley, and Allen is a young core.
It is, but I just don't look at them. I don't look at them the same breadth as the Blazers.
I have them at tier 3.
I think it's different because they made a power move for Mitchell and it worked.
Understandable.
The Wolves made a power move for Gobert. It didn't.
Wow. Okay.
And the Wolves had the 7th overall pick, but that was just it belonged to Golden State.
Yep, that's a fact. Also,
that's ours.
The facts.
Kaminga.
All right, so breakout. I'm going OKC. I'm going with the Pelicans. For conversational purposes, I'm going with Minnesota. Pacers are interesting.
Okay.
They're definitely on that teeter for me.
They're breaking out next year.
Honestly, I'm closer to breakout. I mean, it is potential. The potential is there. I'm going to just, for a vibe, I'm going to throw them into the breakout. Potential. I still think the Rockets are mid. I'm not ready to say that they have potential yet. Potential, the Magic for sure. I'm going to throw the Hornets into that conversation. The Spurs have potential.
So the Magic?
The Magic, yes. The Magic, I don't know if I'm ready to I'm not ready to have breakout yet. I need to see how Anthony Black integrates himself with the offense. I need to see how the shooting improves next season. I need to see how Paolo now gets accustomed to double teams. Is he going to become more efficient? Health of the squad as well. I believe in the Magic, but I'm not ready for a breakout. I believe that the potential is there.
I think as long as Markelle Fultz is healthy, you get a year two on Carroll.
So you think it's a playing
Wagner.
team?
I think they're being a playing team.
Yeah, they definitely could.
I think they should be. They were over 500 by a good amount of games when Fultz was healthy. So they should definitely be a playing team.
Jazz are another team that are fringe breakout / potential. I say breakout because last year, when they were quote unquote trying to lose, they were one of the better teams in the Western Conference. They were just like, all right, it's time to lock in. Let's be shitty. They traded their guys.
Question about that though.
Okay.
How can you have the Jazz and not the Rockets?
The Rockets,
the Jazz have 2 young players.
Fair, but
and the
it's
other
rebuilds.
3 got traded.
But again,
drafted.
rebuilds. I'm not doing young. We're not doing young cores.
Okay, even then,
this has been a rebuild.
But they have 2 players, Agbaji and Kessler, who played. Laurie's 25, so he doesn't make the cut.
No, we're not doing young cores. We're doing rebuilds.
Even then, it's a part of the rebuild.
But Laurie's a part of the rebuild. You know what I mean? It's like that's one of the. He was just an all-star. So I look at that team and I just think, yes, they have breakout potential, but it's not really one of those that you could trust because you don't know if the Jazz want to be one of those top 4, top 5 teams already into their rebuild. So I'm just going to go potential. I feel like that's a little bit more safe. And the Blazers are mid. But they do have, I like Scoot, Shaden, but not for next year.
I think all of our definitions of what a rebuild is were just kind of
a little scattered.
Different.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you guys are going, you went young core. You kind of went young core a little bit.
I went
too,
just rebuild.
But then you weren't
Like,
mentioning the Wolves.
What's it? I don't look at the Wolves and be like, that's a rebuilding team.
But they were.
Like 2 years ago, not now.
I looked at it. It said breakout, so I put young.
But then why are the Pelicans here?
Pelicans are rebuilding.
They're not a rebuilding team.
The Pelicans are here because there's a good 6 players that are in the rotation that are young players, like very young players, like Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Zion. That's 4 players that got drafted recently that are playing a lot of minutes for them. That's why I classified them as a rebuild.
All right.
And then, Dyson Daniels didn't play. But yeah, just really those main 3.
So do you add the Grizzlies in that? Because they have about 5 players in their rotation that's young.
That's a fact.
The Grizzlies,
maybe 6.
The reason I didn't add the Grizzlies
only 24.
The reason I didn't add the Grizzlies as a rebuild is because the last 3 seasons we've seen playing team, then a jump to a top seed, then we're still a top seed. I mean, they were what, the 2nd seed in the West?
Yeah.
They've been that for the last 2 seasons, so that's why for me,
anymore.
They have an established core. Basically,
I still think they're still feeding a breakout moment. They haven't broke out in the playoffs.
I'm gonna go Spurs mid. Also, they don't have potential yet. They're mid right now.
Oh, you think so?
I think they're mid right now. There's
wow.
potential because I guess Wemby, does that automatically make them?
If you don't believe in other guys,
if you think he's like a LeBron James level,
do you believe in Vassell?
All right, I apologize.
You believe in Keldon and Vassell? If you don't, then you don't have to.
I like Vassell. Keldon's good. I wonder if Wemby makes him better just with his presence on the floor. So I'll stay potential.
For me, a rebuild is a team that, like, once you kind of make it known that you're one of those young teams on the rise and that you've at least won a playoff series, I don't think that you're a rebuild anymore.
The Wolves haven't.
Yeah, but the Wolves are kind of a weird situation because, like Dell said, they're kind of like the Cavaliers where they made a trade for an established player now to kind of jumpstart them.
Just for leveling purposes, let's remove the
Pelicans. To be fair, though, the Grizzlies the only time they've won a playoff series is beating a young team. And that was Minnesota.
That's why, for me, the 2 teams that can possibly get cut from rebuilds are the Pelicans and the Cavs. Because they have established young cores that are basically, that's their young core, right? They're done rebuilding. That's why I think the Thunder are on the verge of a breakout.
They're not trying to get, if you're not trying to get a top pick anymore, you're not rebuilding. These teams are trying to go to the playoffs.
That's why I think the Pacers, Thunder, they're breaking out. And
for sure,
teams like the Spurs, Hornets, Magic, Pistons, Rockets, I guess they have like the talent on paper to do it.
Pistons are kind of mid,
but they just need something more.
I don't have the Pistons on here.
All right, I'm just saying. Do you have the Pistons as
the Pistons
potential?
Are talented?
I have potential.
Yeah.
You don't have his potential? You're losing me.
I get it. Cade's there's
not even just Cade. Not even just Cade.
Potential in Ivy. There's potential in Duran.
Asar, Cade.
They got like
you're
5
right.
guys.
You're right. There's potential. There's potential.
And I like how they're building too. You're getting Monty.
But then there's potential in the Rockets too.
And they got some vets too.
Are we just going to say every rebuilding team has potential other than
the Pistons?
Because the Blazers have potential too.
Whoa.
But they're more of a mess.
Are they?
Than the Pistons.
The Pacers have the Blazers haven't shown more than the Pistons' young core.
Say it again.
They kind of shown the same in your opinion.
No, Duran and Ivy have shown way
All right.
more than
All right, I
anybody
won't
on the
disagree.
Blazers.
I won't I mean, Anthony Simons.
Oh, I
clears
keep
all of them.
fucking forgetting him. But,
They got
yeah, outside
Scoot
of him, yeah.
The Blazers are still
They're
trying
also-
to.
That's why. Listen, all right. I'm willing to level if you say the Blazers have potential.
I just forgot Simons. I always forget Simons.
The Blazers still got to fill out the roster. Why I like Detroit a lot is you have your young players, your young core, and then you have veterans that are going to be in the rotation. Like you have Cade, you have Ivy, Bogdanovich, Asar, Duran. Then off the bench, you have Monty Morris, Alec Burks, and then whoever else they want to still develop, like James Wiseman or whatever.
Who's the Blazers equivalent? Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic.
He just got a bag. He in there lollygagging. Like, what up, y'all?
T. Stiebel's a
New
good
money.
defensive
Who me?
piece.
Reading super chats, Big O goes Lake Show, baby, we up.
All knower, Big O, we here.
Blake Bass goes, love the pod, keep up the good work, guys.
We love you.
We did this for
Mwah.
y'all.
It
It's
is
12:15
12:15.
in the morning.
Coop Shoot says, would love to hear what the gang thinks about my Kings offseason so far. Chris Duarte, Sasha Vezenkov, keeping this team together.
Kobe Jones.
I mean,
We
I
thought
think
we
it's a
thought
great
they were going to
offseason.
make a big
So-
move.
okay,
Underwhelming.
What do you mean great?
I'm going to go
Everything
underwhelming.
Can't be great, bro.
I'm going underwhelming.
What else would they
Chris
done
Duarte's
that-
great.
You wanted Kuz.
He
Didn't
did.
even get that done. You
You
know?
ended up with Davis Bertans and Chris Duarte.
Davis Bertans is not on
Sabonis
the
got
Kings.
5 years,
We got
217.
He's on
No, he's
Trey
not.
Lyles
he's
got
on OKC.
re-signed.
Honest
They
mistake.
brought in Alex.
So you ended up
Len.
with Chris Duarte
Well, they were
So
able
Sasha
to.
Vezenkov.
and Kobe Jones.
They
Great
freed up.
offseason.
They freed up the cap space to sign Sabonis to an extension, which he deserved for what he meant to the Kings last year. And then you kept the team together.
He's about to be the Kings version of Julius Randle.
Brian with that.
He's not as bad as the playoffs.
For sure.
Like not even close.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I like Sabonis. That's my guy. You know that.
Sabonis is a good player.
I'm glad you see the
Only
light.
casuals think he didn't deserve the extension. Q Bugavelli goes, Miami would have top 5-ish players at key positions, so the fit can make up the gap in talent from the other trios out there.
That's fair.
And since Dame can carry an offense, JB and Bam would be a lot fresher.
That's facts.
Pablo Amaya goes, insane that Joel hasn't had a bad take ever.
Stamp.
It is insane. Pick a side meme goes 7-game series, 2022 Celtics or 2017 Cavaliers.
2017 Cavaliers
Wait, what was it?
or the 2022 Boston Celtics?
2017 is that?
That's
the
Kyrie.
Kyrie-
That's Kyrie's last year.
LeBron and Kyrie would punch.
Yeah,
on
nah,
you.
for sure.
They got it.
Yeah, like 5 games.
Alex Viveros donated $25. No message. Shout out
Let's
to Alex.
go. Good looks.
K Will 71. When Udoka got in the building, he shut down all Harden talks.
Yeah, he wasn't dealing with that.
Adrian Shake. Don't agree with our direction, Riv, but finally having improved 3-point shooting is massive. Best defense year. Let's see what happens with the Bulls.
No, we had a good offseason. We just don't know where we're doing. So
For Mimo goes rank these bucket getters. Monte Ellis, Lou Will, Jamal Crawford, and J.R. Smith.
Monte Ellis is 1.
Yeah.
Unquestionably.
Crawford is 2.
Crawford is 2. Lou Will's 3.
Yeah, JR's 4, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Monte shouldn't. That's disrespectful to Monte. I have him on this list.
Monte is by far the best bucket getter.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Senpai NFT goes rank your top teams in the West after free agency.
Is it top teams in the West?
Yeah.
We kind of talked about. You have the big
Denver,
three.
Lakers, Suns. I'm gonna continue to have a
I'll go Denver, Lakers, Suns. I'll go Dallas at 4.
Memphis,
healthy Clippers.
Oh
Clear.
shit!
Clippers.
You know what? They're never healthy. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
Clippers healthy at 4.
What about if the
Wolves.
Clippers get James Harden? Do they jump to 1?
They jumped to 2, maybe 1, 2 because they don't have. They still don't have a big to stop.
Clippers are the
Joker.
Lakers' daddy, so I won't speak on the conversation.
They don't have a big to stop the Joker. Still. That's always been their
Zubac.
kryptonite.
Mason Plumlee.
Jesus, that's always been their.
Wish he was a
kryptonite.
Laker.
Oh, if the Clippers get Harden, they jump to 2 immediately, like no questions.
I'm going with the Nuggets, the Suns, Lakers, Mavs, Clippers, Warriors. That's my top 6.
We're the Wolves, bro.
They got to prove it to me this
Okay.
year.
Respectable.
How fucking hilarious!
But they could definitely be in that
So
conversation.
Kings in top 6.
No.
They're not better than the Warriors.
Damn. How the mighty
No.
have fallen.
How the mighty have fucking.
Well, I didn't have the
fallen.
Kings as a top 6 seed. Well, top 4,
Yeah,
top
last year you
5
had him
seed
as like
last
a
year.
7.
I had to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
not as a 3rd seed.
I would think you would now if you have more confidence.
I mean, listen, the Kings were amazing, but there's teams out there that are more talented than
You
them.
just found out who's daddy.
But if the Kings were to be the top
Haven't
seed,
said
I
wrong.
wouldn't be surprised. like I said, the West is wide open. Like there's teams that are 8 seeds that can realistically be
Can they win the
as
chip?
high as top
I'm not
4.
going as the West is wide open.
Can the
anymore.
Kings come out the West?
The Kings can't come out the West.
And the Grizzlies come out the West?
No,
Minnesota.
no.
Oh my God.
Okay.
The fuck are we doing?
Come on. It's too late for this.
Okay,
shit.
next question. Yeah.
RJ
Oh, God.
team. Who are the McKells and Brunsons out there being hidden and just waiting for the opportunity to erupt?
OG Anunoby.
Cam Rush.
Kata Bates Diop.
Oh my God. People pay money for this, bro.
Kata
Who did you say?
Bates Diop.
That's worse than
Yeah,
mine.
Cam Reddish.
Come on.
I said OG to be fair.
That's predictable.
Cam Johnson. For him.
No.
I'm just joking. That's just with TBT. Come on,
Him
bro.
and
It's
his
a
buddy.
callback. I know.
Go shoot some buckets together.
No doubt.
Grant Williams.
Okay.
That's actually sick.
I'm looking at point guards, and the point guard I would go with,
Jordan Poole.
Oh my God. I'm gonna vomit.
if James Harden gets traded, look out for Tyrese Maxey making the type of jump.
Oh no, he's here already.
Yeah, he is here.
Not Jalen Brunson here though,
Why are you comparing?
Because that was the question.
because that was the question.
He can make a Jalen.
He was like, who are hidden gems that can be that type of like McKells and Brunsons?
Austin Reeves. It's not no hidden gem
He
though.
can't be a
people know.
McHale.
Simons. Is he already there?
All right. I think he is already.
I mean, he's
there.
not Brunson
Yeah.
level, obviously, but when he starts,
None of these dudes is better than Maxey in a playoff series outside of Jalen Brunson.
Damn. Kata Bates Diop was 18th in PER
Simons is
this past
amazing.
season among small forwards.
That's the only problem.
Yeah.
One
That's why you
small
said
forwards.
playoffs. I was.
He's the 18th best small
I'm gonna
forward.
say.
He was higher than Kyle Anderson, Andrew Wiggins, OG Anunoby, Sadiq Bey,
Andrew
Kyle
Wiggins
Kuzma.
missed 25 games. And plays for the Warriors.
Harrison Barnes, TJ Warren, Gordon Hayward, Bruce Brown.
Could have stopped a while ago.
All right. Next
Should
super
have
chat.
stopped at Gordon Hayward.
No, I never seen that Kata Bates Diop was this high on PER. I guess advanced analytics really love him.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Okay.
get a bit. Yeah.
I don't think there's any player that stands out to me that can break out like Brunson or McHale right now.
Anthony.
Anthony is a good one, but I don't
He
think he'll
kinda
do it in
breaks out
Portland.
already.
Doesn't Anthony numbers look like McHale's when he plays?
When he starts, yeah,
Yes.
that's why I said that's the answer.
C3JJ goes, B Miller will be the truth. People will switch soon.
Okay.
I like B Miller.
I never said he was a
12 points in the
bum.
fourth.
Just
7
don't think
fouls,
he's
though.
scoot.
Uncle Ruckus, start bench cut. 0-2 Duncan, 11 Dwight, 23 Jokic.
2 Duncan,
Start.
22 Jokic.
Why
Yeah.
is 11 Dwight here?
Cut Dwight.
So disrespectful. 11.
I thought he said Dirk.
Not Dwight.
Dwight?
I think he means Dirk.
That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That would make more
I would
sense.
still go
Wasn't
You
he?
still
0-2
cut
Tim Duncan.
Yeah, you still cut Dirk, I would say. I would
Right.
start Jokic.
Jokic was this
Right, cut
arguably.
Dirk.
I'm gonna be honest, bro.
Led in
It's
points,
crazy to
rebounds,
say.
assists.
I get it. Timmy definitely is higher all time. It's crazy to say that this playoff run finals performance was the most dominant out of these three.
I mean, you factor in Tim Duncan's defense in 0-2. I don't know.
That's fair, but the points, rebounds, assists, grand total. This is the highest we've ever seen.
Just Tim Duncan was the best two-way player in the league.
He was OD.
in the playoffs.
He was OD.
I think he beat Shaq that year.
He did.
0-2, yeah.
He beat the Suns, Lakers,
Wait.
Mavericks, and Nets.
0-2?
He beat Shaq a few times.
They
Wait,
won the championship.
in 0-2.
Mhm.
Okay.
Shaq
What
won
year am I
03.
thinking of? Got it. So they went 2000, 2001,
1999. They won.
1999.
I'm going with
Tim
Jokic,
Duncan
Duncan,
won in,
and Dirk.
yeah.
That's what I'm going. Josh M goes, shout out Scotty B, future top 15 player.
Here we go. Here's Burner.
Uncle Ruckus goes for one
Scotty
season
who?
and knowing they play every game. Would you rather have Jaylen Brown and JT or Luca and Kyrie if
When
they
they-
play every game? You're knowing they play every
Okay,
game.
and Kyrie.
I'll take
Luka
the
and
team that's
Kyrie.
been to the finals.
No, he said duo.
Oh, so you'll be wrong.
Oh, the duo?
Yeah.
I'll take the duo that's been to the finals.
Respectfully, I get it. I'll take Luka and Kyrie. Where are they going? They're going to the East or the West? The East. They're going to the finals.
Daniel Guerrero, if Curry wins his 5th ring, does he pass Kobe and Tim?
I'll be honest, he passes Michael Jordan. Bro, if
Uh,
he wins a 5th, I'm gonna talk so crazy.
Such a good statement.
Santos
He
goes,
passes
Joel,
everybody.
you need to pick Drew's jersey and player he hates the most so we can wear a shirt on the show. Also, Jessica and I made a bet on the Suns.
okay.
I'm asking you as a brother,
No Mahomes.
please. Anyone else? It could be KD.
Okay, I'll think of one.
Thank you.
I'll think of one.
Thank you.
Can't be Mahomes.
No Mahomes.
It could
Four
be
goes-
legitimately anyone. It could be a shit t-shirt.
Los Angeles Lakers whistle back to normal this season and miss playoffs.
Yeah, respect to you for your casual. Thanks for the
playoffs,
donut,
Said the
though.
whistle's back to normal. Santos goes, respect y'all for staying up this late.
Thanks, Santos. Freaking love you,
Thank you,
man.
I have a whole son at home. He's still up.
I gotta go eat some meat, man. I'm hungry.
No,
I'm about to go eat
I'm
spaghetti.
begging for it at this point, man.
Eat mine?
Come on, man. I'm talking about some food.
You didn't
bro.
say no. You're sick.
Keep that low. Keep that low.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast, episode 293. You can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. We are having a merch drop this month. Hat, shirts, and shorts. Stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.